A crossover is
crossover dribble.
crossover.
Kyrie Irving, crossover in the lane.
One of the most famous crossovers of all time.
Behind the back, an ankle breaker on Chris Paul.
Crossover continues to evolve.
All right, the crossover is brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com.
Tell them.
Who are you?
I know, right? Hi, guys.
Whoa.
What's going on?
What time did you get up today?
6, normal time.
You usually
Did
get
you
up
get
at 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get a rainy run in?
I did. Yep.
So
Yep.
nothing's changed for
No,
you.
yeah, nothing. The only thing that changed was I did my show prep yesterday.
Feels good on my skin.
Oh,
I
okay.
felt bad. I texted and emailed Josh. How many times, Josh, did I like, and I didn't realize you were getting rings. At one point, I think I texted 5 times in a row about, hey, I have this idea. Hey, I have this idea. Hey, I have this idea. So I did all that last night.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Josh, it's like you have brass knuckles on,
Hey.
by the way.
I'm having trouble moving my
This
hands.
would really hurt somebody if you got in a fist fight.
It's so heavy, guys. I have 4 rings on my hands.
Oh.
I feel like we're going
Okay.
to accidentally go to break.
Hey, are you
Today.
wearing the same stuff you were wearing last night?
No.
Did you guys-
Okay.
did you
No,
guys party
I
pretty hard?
changed my clothes.
Okay.
You took it from the student center to the local CB watering hole to
Wearing
celebrate?
a polo last night.
Oh,
It was a classy occasion. You wear a polo.
these rings are nice. No Reavers.
So how many guys were back that they were able to get their rings in person?
Trying to remember. I think there were only about half a dozen that got 2. One for last season's national championship and one to commemorate the back-to-back national championships. I have Western football back-to-back national champions, by the way.
Oh,
Not-
interesting.
Not sure if you knew that.
Interesting. People forget.
And then I'd say there's probably dozen and a half guys that got one ring for last year's.
Okay.
All right. They look nice.
They
those are really
did a
nice.
good job. These are really nice rings. You can see them on zonetv.live.
Wow,
all
look
day.
at that. It's pretty awesome that they give them to someone like Josh.
Yeah.
Someone like Josh.
Something like
Hey, many of those people are in 4-year institutions now because of me.
Wow. Good on you, Josh.
So you're saying that you bumped up their stats?
No, just saying.
Nope.
They got there the same time. That's tackle for that's half a tackle for each of them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was
That's
cool.
cool.
I heard the pre-planning for it, so I'm glad that they were able to do it. That's a special moment.
Yeah, they kept saying the whole time, "Oh, we're going to get 2 rings. We're going to get 2, one for the season and one for back-to-back." I'm
Whoa.
like, okay, good luck
Wow.
raising all that money.
that would be nice.
And
Was
they
John
did.
Hole there?
John Hole?
The kicker. He's with Nebraska now.
Oh, no, he was not there.
What? He had an off day. What the
That's
hell? Jeez.
Um,
Rule runs a tight ship.
So,
That's what I hear.
Josh, you're a Blackstone guy, right?
I used to be.
I know you used to be. You used to live there, right?
Yeah.
By the way, this week I've been in Blackstone more than I've been in a while.
Really?
Well, because they've got those new condos that are going up. There's a Cunningham's over there.
Yeah,
There's
yes,
a
yes.
Insomnia Cookies. And so I was very excited. I went to a bar on Saturday night there in
In Blackstone?
Blackstone.
With the one with all the youngs?
You know what? There was a good collection of people because
if-
they had a reggae band
If
outside.
you got a stamp, you were with the Youngs.
Okay.
Yes.
So we go in, and I don't know if I can mention the place, but it is there's a lot to do inside of it. It's right on the corner.
Okay.
So we went in and walked right in, past the door guy, and then he goes, hey. And I was like, oh, this is a cover, I'm out. Because one of the reasons we went in there, because their marquee said free food 9 to midnight. Which they had free hamburgers and hot dogs. It was
If I got
great.
paid cover, ain't free.
Whoa,
Yeah.
hello.
I never went to this place.
Yeah, I'd
But-
like to go there.
I got a stamp.
Yeah?
I hadn't gone to a bar where I got
With
a
a
stamp,
stamp?
for like
Oh my
25
gosh.
years. And I was so excited.
What's the stamp for?
Well, okay, so you know,
It's for the cover. It's
Yeah.
like to prove, right?
yeah,
Oh,
like you
okay,
are
okay.
there so you can come in and out.
Yeah, and
So like
and
you
you've been
leave and you
carded.
come back, you just show the doorman the stamp and he's like, hey, you're good.
I'm going to go have
Most
a cig.
places, though, give you like a Sharpie.
Mhm.
They went with the stamp.
Wow,
Like
that's
when I
old
was
school.
in college, they had this high-tech thing of where they would do like a invisible pen.
Uh-huh.
So, then you
So
had
they put the black light on it to
Yes.
see if you had gone in there.
Ah.
'Cause,
So-
but then at least you
Yeah.
wouldn't be walking around with crap on your hand all night long.
That's smart. I like that.
So for the rest of the night, like we left and went to a couple other places. I like walked around, I was like showing people my stamp.
It's like
I
you're-
wanted so bad not to clean it off yesterday. Because when I was in college, that was like a sign. Like you go to
Oh.
class
Yeah,
the
you've
next
been there.
day,
You had a good
and
night.
you might
last
have a
night.
couple of stamps,
Yep.
and you'd be like, make sure everybody sees it. You raise your hand, but not frontwards. You
Yeah.
like with the back.
That's
of
what
your
I was
hand.
doing on a Tuesday
Yep.
night.
Oh, this
You
guy
get
gets
lucky.
out.
I was
This guy's a
so
social guy.
excited, but Blackstone is like very interesting right now.
Yeah.
Well, because they're building those I would say they're high-rise condos for Blackstone.
Is it under the same umbrella as like the Blackstone apartment? So, because I lived in one of those.
So were you above where like Early Bird is?
No, the same company.
Okay.
But I lived over off of 40th and Harney.
Okay, so you were off of Farnham.
Yeah.
Okay,
I lived
okay.
on Harney.
I love the neighborhood.
So those ones are newer that you were in.
Yes, it
Okay.
was really new.
Okay.
A couple years old, maybe.
Are they building any parking garages?
Well, okay, so
Yeah.
so they are building. It looks like 3 floors of condo living, and then it is parking underneath. But you're right. The one drawback to going to Blackstone is you
Yeah.
can't find parking.
Yeah.
It's just like I'd love to go to Benson all the time, but Benson is tough to find
Yep.
parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad like for me on weeknights. Like I'd have to walk.
So did you have on-street parking?
Yeah, so that's what
Ooh.
I did. And so because you could do the garage, but we didn't want to spend whatever it was, 100 150 a month. So we didn't do that. There was 5 spots that were free that were not even a block away. Those weren't always available though.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'd have to walk 2 or 3 blocks. The issue was always Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, or Friday night, Saturday night rather, just because so many people are down there. But normally I'd get off, at 6, and so I'd get home before the hustle and bustle. But
Yeah.
if I did anything on a Friday and then I were to come back down at like 8 or 9, it was curtains. Thankfully,
did
though,
you-
they have the parking lots are open on weekends for free.
Well, the one parking lot that was, I want to say it was across the street from like
The one on 40th,
yeah, and now
like
it's
up that hill.
Yes,
yes,
and then-
yeah.
and
Parked
isn't-
over there a lot.
Isn't something being built there now, or
Oh,
they
no.
eliminated it? I thought they eliminated.
Well, they were going to build a sports bar, I thought, like kind of catty corner to Noli's Pizza.
I think there is a sports bar there now.
Yeah, I think it
I'm
was the
pretty sure.
people who own the
So there's
the
what,
burger place over in Benson.
So on that corner, there's
Okay,
what
yeah.
Sullivan's, Moolah, Noli's,
Yeah,
and then whatever that business is. I think there is if you go down from Moolah towards like walking towards downtown,
Yes,
there is a sports
It's
bar.
a sports bar. Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's right
yeah.
before you get to Willie's Wild
sports hall.
Bowling.
Sports
thing.
hall.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Sports hall.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bad little place. Did you
Um,
go to Night Owl? You don't have to say if this
No,
was Night Owl,
so-
but I just want to know if you had some tachos.
Oh,
I did not go to Night Owl. I've been to Night Owl
Mm.
before. But what freaked me out about Night Owl is what they show on the screens.
John and I were talking about this last week. He was baffled because I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, so they show movies,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just old
but they
movies.
don't show them with subtitles on,
Yeah, right.
and there's no sound." And he
Yeah.
goes, "What's the point then?" And I don't know. I love Night Owl. That's one of
And
my
it's
favorite
in a-
spots in
That was
town.
great.
I do too. But they are like the obscure movies.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
And
that's
you-
the fun part is trying to figure out what the movie is without like I recognize that actor. I
Now there
recognize
was a
that actor.
Steve Martin movie there that honestly don't think I ever saw. That was playing the last time I was there.
Mixed
Father of the
nuts.
Bride.
It wasn't Father of the Bride. I don't know about Cheaper by the Dozen. I don't know. I don't know
Sneaky
what it
good
was.
Steve Martin movie, Grand Canyon.
Never saw that one.
Yeah, I never seen that.
Grand Canyon.
Wow, if Josh is baffled, then it really is
Was this
obscure.
is this a old Steve Martin movie?
Kevin Kline.
Oh, it must be
Steve
Kevin.
Martin was in it.
1991.
Okay.
Wonder if it's streaming anywhere. Could we do it for Movie Club?
Danny Glover.
Danny
You know what?
Glover.
I've seen
Oh,
this
Danny
movie.
Glover was in
I've
it
seen
too?
like the box before at
There's
Blockbuster.
it's a very emotional movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Steve
The
Martin.
fates of several people are randomly intertwining. Their sympathy of each other faces multiple differences in their lifestyles.
Jesus,
It's just a bunch of words.
he
strung
went
together.
from that to like Parenthood. He got really into the emotionally manipulative movies because Parenthood was a lot to take in.
Oh, look at his beard in this movie. It's on Stars. If anyone in here
Oh.
has Stars,
The Stars have an app. I think they have an app now.
they have an app. It's really
Okay, good.
bad though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used
did
to
not
have
have the
Stars.
Stars
When I
app.
get, hopefully
Not
when I
great.
get Showtime, I'll be able to get stars.
Poll question up at Happer Show. Do you have stars?
Excellent poll question.
Steve Martin turned down SNL, right, to be Tim Walz?
Yes.
Yeah, he said the only reason they asked me is because I'm like old and have glasses. or
Yeah.
something.
He's like, I'm
So
not.
you know
I'm
what?
not an impressionist.
I appreciate Steve Martin. Stibbs and I were talking about this because he got mad at me for saying SNL's not funny anymore. But my issue with SNL is that they just bring in non-SNL regulars to play all the political figures. Do it in-house. Though
Yeah.
apparently the Trump guy is he's an in-house guy now.
Well, yeah, but then they pivoted.
Well,
they pivoted from Baldwin to the who's this guy that does the Trump now?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He's like
Yeah.
an internet dude.
He
Got famous for being like doing Trump on Twitter.
because he sounds more like him.
Yeah, he talked about Scooby-Doo one time, and people were like, "This guy's really funny." So
Is that the path to being successful?
yeah, seriously, it's just being famous on the internet
Yep.
now, and you can go places.
There
It's
is
really wild.
There's a Wikipedia page titled Saturday Night Live Parodies of Donald Trump.
Wow,
It has its own Wikipedia page.
Wow. Okay.
that's wild.
How many does it list? Is it just two?
Uh,
There's got to be more than two.
Sudeikis in 2012, Taron Killam in 2015.
I was going to say they had to do it even before the
Baldwin.
president stuff.
James Austin Johnson.
That's the guy who
Currently
does
does that,
That's
yeah.
the
His voice is pretty
It's very
pretty
good.
spot on.
Yeah.
The Atlantic called his portrayal of Trump, quote, deeply skillful.
Ooh,
Nice.
That's a hell of a compliment.
It
right
really
there.
is.
Jeez.
Has
Try-
Somebody
try as
called
you
me
will, you're not getting
deeply
that.
skillful.
Yeah.
I'd
That'd
say,
be,
wow.
you can retire.
Yeah, you walk away from that.
Has
just
Trump
feeling
ever
great.
been on SNL where he's played himself?
I thought he hosted it one time.
Yeah, I thought he hosted it one time.
Oh, that would never happen.
No. I think he hosted it like right
It'd be kinda
before.
funny if it did though.
Yeah, it happened in 2015.
That would
Oh.
be pretty cool. Like if all of a sudden they are doing a cold open,
Yeah.
and it's actually Trump.
And he shows up. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that would be really funny.
Well, it's
actually.
like when wasn't Tina Fey doing Palin, and then
Yes.
Palin
Yep.
showed up
Yeah.
back
Yes.
in
Yeah.
2008.
So part of the Saturday night experiment in getting a stamp is I almost went to the rock bottom in terms of something you want to eat after midnight.
Oh,
A
I'm all ears.
Taco Bell?
Filet-O-Fish at a convenience store.
Oh my God.
looked
Gary.
pretty good.
Oh,
What?
Were you?
It looked
at
really
a
good.
convenience store.
and it looked good.
And it looked good.
Oh,
Now I
man.
stopped myself, but
Good.
that would have been rock bottom eating.
You may not have been here today if you went forward
Yeah.
on that. I'm glad you decided. The better part of you decided, not great.
And we've
not
all
great
had
idea.
that, like that rock bottom moment of food we're going to
Yeah.
eat.
And then you wake up and
I
you
think
regret everything.
I think it took until now for me to hit that. And
Yeah.
remember, I'm Mr. Couch Pizza.
This is true. So your rock bottom might be different than other people's rock bottom.
Yes.
Mhm.
A
Gary
filet
will still
a
eat
filet of
couch
fish
pizza.
at a convenience store.
and you didn't do it though.
No. I
You should
stopped
be
myself,
proud of yourself, man.
But it looked good. It smelled good. It sounded good.
Really?
So wait,
Post
okay.
midnight.
So was that a convenience store? Was it on like in a heater thing, or was
Yes.
it? Okay, and it smelled good.
So you don't think it like at 11 o'clock when they had the shift change, the guy came in and made a new one?
I do not.
I don't actually, and
That's the
again,
question. How long was it sitting there for?
Was there something wrong with a hot dog on the roller? I mean, I think that would have been very appealing.
No, see, I messed up on the hot dog on the roller one time, and so I don't go back because
Oh.
I didn't know that they stored the buns right below.
Yeah,
And so I was looking for the buns.
yeah, they're
and
heated too.
Yeah,
I very much showed that I was a rookie at the roller.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's embarrassment.
That is kind of embarrassing, though.
Mhm.
But it's a common mistake if you don't know and no one else. Usually, I think the first time I ever found that out is someone in front of me grabbed it out of there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's where those are? Okay.
Mhm.
And then from then on, I always knew.
Whenever I think of those, I think of going to QT before one of my brother's baseball games because the ball fields were very close to
Yeah.
a QT. And so, like, I imagine getting that and some kettle cooked chips and watching
Oh.
horrible Little League baseball. Never
But-
again. But they were good.
It's going to be the most enjoyable way to watch
15-year-old me
anything bad.
loved that stuff. Like,
That's like
sweet,
a-
I'm having a hot dog and chips tonight.
That's a straight up Skateland meal.
what a
They had
dinner.
the hot dog and chips meal, and then
Mm.
you usually got a slushy.
Or the frozen pickle juice. Did you ever do that at
Ooh.
Interstate 680? May it
I've
rest
never-
in peace.
I've never been to Interstate 680.
Well, you can't go now because it's long closed.
Damn it.
They had frozen pickle juice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was it good?
they have
Well,
that
I
now.
love pickles, so yeah, for me it was. Though I threw it up one time.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I had it, and then I roller skated, and it's like, it's maybe not the best.
Did you come back to it after you threw it up?
That was the last time.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm.
I
It's
still
amazing
eat
how that'll do
pickles.
something.
The pickle, by the way, has made a strong comeback.
Oh, they're
in this
bringing
country.
beer now,
Are
too.
pickles big again?
Everybody's got a beer now.
I'm starting to see pickles on pizza.
Yeah, the
Mm.
cheeseburger pizza.
Cheeseburger pizza, yeah.
Yeah, not for me.
Not for me.
They have the ice pops
Yes.
that are
What?
pickle.
What?
Yeah, the pickle, there's been a good PR campaign
Well, there's
for the pickle.
the little packets of them, right? The
Yes.
ones that you can get on the go.
Wait,
Yes.
ice pops isn't like flavor ice, like the little skin, like
Yes, it's exactly like that, but
They
it's
have-
frozen pickle juice
no.
because it's good for recovery.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
if you,
yeah, go to a practice. You
if
know what
you-
it smells like in there? Pickles.
you're going to
Ben Gay
overtime.
and pickle
You're
juice.
gonna need it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You'll be able to buy a candle that smells like that before long. But
Oh,
at
I guarantee
bars,
that
like the
sounds-
good small town bars,
Mhm.
you'll be able to buy a pickle.
Yeah, and
or a
big
pickled
one.
egg.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be a large. I've never had a pickled egg in my life.
Same.
Any
And I
good?
love eggs and I love pickles.
I do too.
Mm.
I like deviled eggs.
Don't want either of them together, though.
No, I think it just sounds like it would be.
The texture makes me think I'd vomit. You know,
I think it's
a
something that was-
hard-boiled egg and then it's sitting in juice.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's probably been introduced to me to my late grandma and grandpa, and I'm sure I turned it down wisely.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was probably the only time it was ever an option for me. I don't think I've ever been offered a pickled egg in any other. walk of
But
life.
I am thinking about going back to this place today to just go.
get the
filet
stamp.
Scope
fish.
it out.
Oh,
fish
that
fillet.
place.
I
I
think
thought you
I
meant-
get the stamp again.
That's what I thought, too.
I'm good.
Oh, I'm going to go back there. It's wonderful
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
in
yeah,
Blackstone.
yeah.
Great place. Like it was youngs and olds.
Yeah, so you were by the sports bar then?
Yeah.
Were you not at the party we had couple
No, I
years
was
ago?
on the road.
A year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Is that where our party was?
That was the
Ironic, we
super
were just
spreader.
talking about that.
Yep,
We
that
were,
was the-
yes.
I had
COVID super spreader.
Yep,
where it
I had,
started.
I
Accidentally-
had hockey that night.
threw one of the balls and it went up and hit the ceiling and then slammed down.
And I bet no one heard it.
Oh, dude. I was like, oops.
So we
Got a
went,
lot of food that night, though.
we went to Gary and I were talking about this Smash Park
Mhm.
over in La Vista.
Mhm.
Kid wants to really play skee ball.
Mhm.
but the ramp is a little too high for him.
Yeah.
So when he rears back and fires it, it just hits the front of it and goes back.
Yep.
And so every time he does it, we're like, okay, bud, let me help you out
Yeah.
here. And
Give him a booster.
there wasn't one available at the time. And I don't think, that game is probably he's not in the demographic, but Jesus, the amount of skee balls that were going all over the place. And thank God there wasn't that many people in the arcade part, but it was embarrassing. We're like, all right, buddy, we got to shut this down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not doing
For
it.
the best.
Maybe in a couple more
I think that
years.
happened with a couple of people at the Wonder Bowl place
Yeah.
at
You're
that
like,
party.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting slammed.
Well, it's
into
not like
stuff.
it's a Nerf ball. If that thing comes at
Dude,
you,
it
I mean,
is.
you're gonna be feeling that for a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. So that party, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stand back and eat food and have a couple of beers. I don't really want to bowl.
This, is,
Throwing it all over the
this
place.
isn't my path. tonight.
Yeah,
that's
indeed,
fine.
indeed.
As you do your marathon, 8 hours today.
Mm.
I asked Nick this after the weekend that was in Boulder. Can you imagine if, like, Deion Sanders actually was the head coach here and he confronted Chattel?
Oh my gosh.
Who would it be? Tom? Who would be the
Columnist.
most likely?
Yeah, Dirk's gone now.
Yeah.
That's true, and that's already happened to Dirk anyway.
Deion and Tom going back and forth?
Well, he went after CBS, so it would have been somebody from
Adam
Channel-
Kruger.
Yeah, Adam Kruger.
Adam
Or
Kruger.
Kevin
But-
Suits.
Well, no, Kruger just
Yeah.
wouldn't have had his question.
Kevin
answered at all.
Suits, you're from CBS Lincoln. What the hell, bro?
I got love for you. All right,
But not your company.
I love when he said, "I'm
Are
looking
you-
you in the eyes" when he has his sunglasses.
I have
on.
respect
No,
for
you're
you.
not.
Yes.
You
But-
don't even know who I am.
More people win or lose at Colorado's post-game press conference or Nebraska's.
Oh, theirs. It is going to be.
I said their laws. If they lose, theirs for sure.
Yeah.
Because you want to see the potential implosion
Because
of answered
your
questions.
Friday friend, that's El Kent's job.
Yeah.
the Journal
AP.
Star.
Yeah.
He always goes to the visiting locker room.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know. And I guess we have Sam on today, so maybe I'll ask him. But like how the papers divvy up, like, hey, we need you to go to the Colorado one. We need the Dion stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can get Matt Rule anytime, but
Exactly.
It was either Sam or Evan. Somebody mentioned, just not on air, but in conversation, that there has been talks of somebody from the World-Herald spending the week in Boulder leading up to the game.
They
Oh,
should.
that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
whether
that'd be a good
covering
angle.
Colorado on a daily basis,
Yeah.
but also
Be at the
in
press
Boulder
conference.
and Colorado and their build-up.
That's
for the
some
game.
old school journalism right
so
there.
Yes, it is.
they would be at the weekly
Well,
press conference.
I suggested it. Wouldn't it be
Do
great
shows.
if our shows
Oh,
were
God,
out
it'd
there?
be amazing.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
We go to Boulder.
And then we just leave with the team. I mean, we're not
Can
with
we
the
ride
team,
on
but,
the bus?
but as they go, we're just behind them.
Prime, we'd like to ride with you.
We're mooning them on the way.
Hey!
How are you guys
trying to get
treated
your
when you
kitchen.
did the pre and post?
Well,
And you did the day before as
it was
well.
great because it was all Husker people around us, except for Josh Land, of course, wearing his goofy Buffs jersey.
But what about after the game?
Well, it was sad because it was a Husker area, and then everyone left. It was so quiet.
Oh, no.
So yeah, no, because we were at a specific Husker hotel.
Okay.
It was like Chris Schmidt was over there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so sad. It was
Just making sure you guys weren't targets.
yeah, it was a horrible night. We just wanted to go home, but we had to eat, and then we had to wake up at 3 a.m. or whatever to get on the plane to
Oh,
fly
yeah.
back to Omaha. Just a horrible trip in the end. Bad times.
Is that why we don't go on the road anymore? Remember when we went to Columbus?
Yeah.
I heard about this.
That was one of my. That was like I just started here. Oh, we were making the transition from Jason to Damon.
Damon was back here.
Yeah, Damon was here.
Okay.
Michael, myself, and
You're
John
at a
Bishop.
bar. You're at
we were in-
Brothers.
yeah, we were in Columbus.
Oh, you're at the Columbus Brothers?
Yeah, and we had to come back and do the post game
Oh.
live. Big Red
I didn't
overreaction.
know it was at Brothers.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Damon is
God.
here, and then those three are there.
Oh, and it was awful.
Yeah, and everyone's mad.
And everybody,
Yeah.
but everybody, we're the mad ones.
Yeah.
Everybody in the bar is Ohio State fans,
so
and
they're having
drunk.
a great time.
And they're not being, I bet you they're not being cordial, are they?
Well, the year before that, they went out. The shows went out to Madison. So Nebraska got
Jesus.
boat racing their first ever Big Ten game. Then
I
they
would-
went there.
I'd be more petrified of Madison after a moment like that than Columbus.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, they talked a lot
yeah,
of trash.
the Wisconsin fans, I can only imagine.
Went to
how
the
they
Big Ten championship game. That was also a tire fire. Yeah, John and I went to Colorado. Wow, it's horrible. That's over.
And you guys are doing it this year too.
We're doing a pregame show for
How about
Colorado.
you guys hang back?
Oopsies. Oopsies.
Another reason why 10 years after the fact, they should open up the res for just one Saturday.
Bring it back.
It went well, at least on the field that night when it was
Miami game?
Yep.
Yeah.
It did go well.
Indeed it did.
I will, because the get-in price starts at about $200 for that game. How many Colorado fans make the trip?
Oh, good question.
Very, very few, right?
I don't think a lot. I think a lot of them are all talk.
Well, I don't think Nebraska fans. I don't know. I don't feel like this is a game where they're going to sell.
No,
They're going to want to. They're going.
Yeah,
to. They're going to want to hold on. To it.
There's that, and yeah, Colorado will have their little sliver of their allotment, and that'll be it.
Yeah,
I can't imagine other than the random. I'm not talking about Josh. We love Josh, but the random CU fan that lives here. I don't even know if they're making.
I wonder if
game.
Colorado will sell enough tickets that they have in the one corner where they've always had the visiting fans, and then they have
the
way up
second
yeah,
one in
the
the
very
north.
top one.
Yeah.
if they will have enough fans to fill that corner
Yeah.
as well.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, no.
Hotel rooms, there
Be a
are
lot of
some-
red.
There are the rates aren't bad for that weekend.
Really,
Yeah, I mean now when
Interesting.
I say not bad, we're talking like $400,
but not as bad as you would have
No.
expected for a game.
So
like
we
this.
were looking at rooms for the following week because since my wife is from UNI, so we're
From
going
Northern
to that
Iowa?
game. Yeah.
Oh, how much are those rooms?
MSC suites already $600.
Oh, wow,
We had to go Airbnb.
interesting.
an Airbnb in Lincoln.
VRBO, Airbnb. I don't know. My wife took care of it.
Can I interest you a house? In
Oh
the
wait,
North
yeah,
Bottoms?
you've got.
But you'd have to. There are like 3 people that are living there.
I was wondering,
mean,
is there a couple of rooms? Because I think we got like 6 people in our little party.
Nick, there's this floor.
yeah,
It's really comfortable.
floor.
how
I-
much are you paying for an
I've got
Airbnb
air
in
mattresses.
Lincoln on a football Saturday?
It's a decent size home. It's got 4 bedrooms. I think per person it's 90, and there's 6 of us.
That's not bad.
So yeah,
Where at?
Okay.
it's about 5 miles away from the stadium.
Oh, that's never mind. I figure you could
Yeah,
walk.
Well, we're
that's
gonna
a
Uber.
little. That's
We're
a little much.
We couldn't find anything close, like you could spill out that was either livable or worth the price. So we just figured we'd Uber anyway. So that's what.
So Colorado's staying in Omaha.
Friday night?
I'd figure
Yep.
that much. Yeah.
So their plan is they are staying in Omaha.
So they'll practice here probably then, right? Remember
Maybe.
when USC came to town and people figured out were they at West Side?
I think they were at West Side.
I have it on good authority that Colorado wants nothing to do with Lincoln
Yeah.
the night before the game,
Uh-huh.
and we'll be stationing.
You know where they're practicing,
very,
Josh?
very close to where we're at right now.
Oh,
Okay.
Look at inside
Okay.
info, Josh over here.
All
I
right.
like it.
So they're staying in Airbnbs in the Dundee neighborhood.
That's right.
That would be awesome. 100
be.
players spread out about 40 houses.
By
Friday
the
night
time you
before the
guys
game.
get done on that Friday, you're looking at it.
Yeah, whoa, look at all those guys meeting
There's
up.
a bunch of people.
Friday night before the
Gophers.
game, you're sitting at pitch, and all of a sudden Dion walks in.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. This
Wait a
is-
minute.
Dion,
can't-
get the egg.
that can't
Get
be
the
him.
burger with the egg on it.
Eating my fried calamari.
Oh, man.
Well, there are more and more teams that are staying in Omaha.
Mhm.
So their charter will fly into Lincoln. They will bus to Omaha, stay like at the Marriott out in Regency.
Yeah.
They know
Or
Omaha
they
has
stay-
an airport, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they
bigger
stay.
one.
They stay at the Embassy Suites in La Vista.
Yeah. That and that
'Cause
is
then
what-
you're like
'cause then you can
45 minutes
pop right
away.
on
Well,
the
yeah, because
interstate.
then they both can get on the interstate and they have the police escort.
Yeah.
And they're out.
Good to go.
But yeah, I know that they don't want to be in Lincoln. The only person that I've ever heard like says I want to be at the Graduate in downtown Lincoln was Harbaugh, because he's like, what if I want to walk to the game?
That is such a Jim Harbaugh logic right there too.
Mhm.
And he would. I could see him like riding a bike,
Mm.
just riding a normal like a 10 speed.
One of those e-bikes that you can rent.
I think it was on a scooter.
And then
Yeah.
so people are like, I think I saw Harbaugh, but it couldn't have been, right? And then you realize later, yeah, it was.
I
'Cause that's
swear,
Jim Harbaugh.
I swear it was Jim Harbaugh
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
bird scooter, guys.
Yeah, it had to be.
So back in the heyday of the Colorado Nebraska, I think it's still a hotel, but it's changed hands so many times. On the Cornhusker at about 52nd,
Mhm.
there was like a Holiday Inn. I mean, it was a rundown, but they couldn't like people sold out the Cornhusker
Mhm.
hotel, so there were no rooms for Colorado, so they had to stay there. But they were like sitting ducks. Like the band would go there at 3 a.m. People would pull the fire
Yep,
alarm.
the fire. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
So that actually happened to us on a baseball trip. Michigan did that when we were staying in Ann Arbor. It was my first baseball trip ever. And at 5 a.m, had the Friday night game, 5 a.m. that morning. They
Eric
pulled-
Backage?
It might have been, or one of his senior leaders. The fire alarm was pulled, and then we overheard someone at the front desk saying, "This has happened before."
Oh, wow.
When teams stay
That's
there.
like pro sports town type stuff, you know. AFC Championship game night before, people are trolling the the players.
You know what? Of all the
Colin
shenanigans,
rooms.
that is one that I never will, but I never partook in.
Well, then I'd have to be up
in
there.
pulling the fire alarm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that
But
means
you
you
could get
that means
arrested
you
for
got-
that.
You can.
I'm not trying to have the dust on my fingers.
Plus, you know, when you pull the fire lever down, it shoots that goo at you,
Yes.
so they know who pulled
The
it.
die. It's just like a
So-
die pack if you want to rob a bank.
I'm not trying to get goo on me. Whole question.
I mean, that is a life
you
life
a
goal right there.
Pro
too.
or anti-goo guy?
Try to keep the goo off.
They told us in school, at the Catholic school I went to, that if you pulled the fire alarm, you would get stabbed in your palm.
Whoa.
And then they'd know who did it.
Because you're bleeding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just follow the trail of blood.
No, I swear, I tripped
There's our
earlier.
culprit.
I tripped earlier.
I mean, just couldn't have gone with the goo, could they? Like,
No.
no, it has to be. It has
You're
to
gonna bleed.
physical pain.
Yep.
Well, because then it would like resonate. You're like, oh man, I don't want that. And then they'll know I did it.
You
And then I got to go home and my
Oh.
parents will know that I pulled a fire alarm at school.
look at his hands. Gary has stigmata.
And then your legal troubles begin because it's a felony.
Is it really?
I don't think it's a
I don't-
felony.
Probably
Definitely
not
get
for
in
a
trouble.
shot.
Not that I'm
You-
advocating.
You do get, I think you get ticketed for it though. Misdemeanor. But yeah, it's against the law because you are creating a panic amongst a public.
Somebody runs for office and they vet them. And your opponent looks through the record.
It can lead to criminal charges, fines, penalties, and potentially civil liability,
Yeah.
depending on the jurisdiction.
Kids don't do it.
It's a serious
yeah.
offense. Yeah, don't do it.
And just stay away from the goo.
That would be, and stay away from the goo.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Falsely pulling a fire alarm could also constitute illegal obstruction of congressional proceedings, a felony under federal law.
Whoa.
No, don't do it.
Oh, so what our teachers told us it being a felony, they're not actually wrong. It didn't stop a lot of knuckleheads in my class.
And then there's an article here from the Washington Examiner. Jamal Bowman could face more than 30 years behind bars for fire alarm pull.
Uh-huh.
Was he a habitual fire alarm puller?
No, he did it.
He was at Congress. He was,
Yeah,
he was in the house.
Oh,
He's
this is
from
a okay.
Kentucky,
Okay.
Wow.
I thought maybe we had a
think
serial
New York?
fire puller. Fire
New
alarm
York.
puller.
New York.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought Kentucky.
I've always wanted to do it though. I just want to see what it feels like. Like if they're going to do like a fire alarm, can I pull it without any of the consequences?
I don't want to deal with the with the road.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
see what it's like when you get to unlock. The
That's
thing
how I
and
felt. I wanted to do that with the beer. I wanted to pull one of those, and I finally got to do it. I was like, "It's pretty cool." I filled up a beer
Like a
because I
tap?
never worked at a bar.
From behind the bar.
yeah, I never got to
It
do it. It
probably-
always looked really fun.
It probably does pull a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
So you'd have been disappointed the places that have the technology where you just set the glass and then
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
like the updraft.
Yeah,
they
I
have
don't
it
like
at CHI.
Yes, I remember seeing that too.
And then it has a little coin or whatever it is
Yeah.
at the
Remember-
middle.
just
Magnet
remember
thing.
Storm Chasers game, they had that?
Don't poke
Yeah.
the thing because it'll.
It
Yeah.
does make for a nice magnet though. Once you're done, you got a nice little fridge magnet.
That's what
Mhm.
Verse has at Pisons.
Okay.
So you just place the glass on the thing and it fills it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then a magnet goes on the bottom.
Just blew my mind when they had the downdraft at Warner Park
Yeah.
the first time. I'm like,
like,
wow,
oh my
what am I
gosh.
Look at this
watching?
technology.
This
This
is
is
going to change the
The
whole game.
Phoenix
here.
Rising, except it's the beer. This is amazing.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Josh, you're right. There's something about the pour.
There is.
There is.
Yep.
And then the people that don't know how to pour beer, which
Yeah.
is amazing that there is still those people out there.
Clearly, they were not active in college.
You know what that thing called
keggers.
head? It should not be
Yeah.
more than actual the beer.
No, there's commercial head. Commercial head should be half inch. Commercial head, half inch of it.
Context.
Context, yes.
Talking about beer.
Half inch, a commercial head.
There's
Someone
no
just
poll
tuned in.
questions.
The hell are these guys talking about?
Mhm.
Commercial head. Just
Uh,
leave it at that.
Have a good Monday. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Yeah.
good to see you guys.
I think we've all, I think all of us now, well, you've done this before. We've all
Yeah.
done the at least 8 hours.
Yep.
I did the split one with
Yep,
you.
yep,
I
with
did
me.
the morning, then I had the afternoon off. Or I
Around
had
the
mid-
College World Series,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Back in the day, I did mornings and middays.
Yeah.
Though I do think this is my first time doing the full 4-hour midday since the Nick Baugh era.
Wow.
No, because he had a 3-hour show. So I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever done it. I've done 7. I don't think I've done 8.
You could have joined
Oh.
us this morning.
Yeah, I could
Maybe
have.
for the last 2 hours and just really just hammered it home.
Yeah, I guess I could have got to 10.
Would
Yeah.
be cool.
I mean, what a
Been
great
cooler,
idea
Nate.
for our 25th anniversary. Why don't we do 5 hours live?
Oh, just
Thank God you weren't at the
nonstop.
meeting to recommend that idea.
Have a good
Gary
show.
wants to
Bye,
break
guys.
the world record.
The crossover is powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair at Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com.
All righty, the Connor Happer Show with me, Josh Peterson, starts next here on 1620 The Zone.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Oh, welcome in. It's the Connor Happer Show with me, Josh Peterson. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Here's a thing for you, Josh, as we begin the show today.
I like things.
Oh, yes. Hashtag topic alert. Get them ready. We would love to have them. I listen to the first segment of your guys' show every single day. But famously, I listen on double speed. So hearing that open in normal speed was weird as hell for me.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Why does it sound drunk?
It's like the College World Series. The spots are too slow.
Yeah. Welcome to the College World Series. Welcome in, though. It's the Connor Happer Show. So this was supposed to be
Gather around, kids.
Yeah.
Story time.
Yours truly, Jack Mitchell, and you in person. We were all going to be here together.
We were.
For the next 4 hours. And then we were going to do 4 more hours. We were going to kick you out of the studio, Josh. And Peter Krenzer was going to be our guy because Nick famously went to a baseball game.
He loves work so much
Yeah.
that he's never here.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take days off, but he took the day off because he's probably driving back right now from Colorado. So that was going to be the game plan. I talked to Jack Mitchell on Saturday morning. His voice sounded a little rough, I guess is the way that I would describe it. Not the best that I've ever heard Jack's voice. And I say, "Oh, you sick?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got a head cold." That's a bummer. Head colds aren't fun. And especially I lamented head colds on a day like today because famously the weather on Saturday, very, very good.
Very
we had,
nice,
50s in the morning. I think it got to 75 or whatever. Sunny day, great day. And I say, that's a bummer. You're going to have to stay inside. And then he texts me that afternoon and says, I have COVID. And so immediately I'm starting to wonder, I wonder what that will mean for the Monday show. I
don't want to be selfish here, Jack,
but yeah. And that's exactly what I thought. How will this affect you? I mean, look, we've had COVID in the world for almost 5 years. You'll be fine. That's what happens normally with COVID. But how will it affect me? What is going to be the plight of me, Josh Peterson, on Monday? So here's the plight. I get to hang out with Josh Hodson for the next 3 hours and 20 minutes before then. Jack does do the Grum. He will be on. He will be on
the Grum.
He'll join me for the crossover, which will be very odd because it's just going to be all right, let's not talk about sports for a half hour before we get back into sports, I guess. And so that is going to be the plan. So, John Bishop, for days leading up to this event, really leading up to his vacation, kept using a phrase, martyr baton, Josh. He kept saying that I would have the martyr baton.
It's good. It's a good phrase. I like it.
Now I have the martyr baton. I have to do the 4 hours without Jack, and then I have to do the other 4 hours with Jack from Lincoln, with COVID. And I spoke to our mutual boss, Steve, earlier, and he said that Jack's voice sounded bad on his show this morning.
Oh, no.
And so, off to the races that we will go.
Yeah, in typical Jack fashion, he was very apologetic.
Dude, he wouldn't stop apologizing.
I'm so sorry. I mean, I can do it. I could probably do it if I really had to. I just told him, no, go. I'm not going to have you do your morning show, this show, and then unsportsmanlike conduct. The bit would not be fun at that point for anyone.
No, it would not. Yeah, the idea of us doing this together and joking about it was supposed to be a hilarious thing. And now it's a sad thing because he has COVID in 2024, no less.
Yeah.
Travis writes
Hi, Travis.
on the YouTube chat, you might say today is a Josh P. Marathon Day.
Oh, you love marathons.
Look at that, a running reference. Chad commented earlier during the crossover, without John getting in the way, can we expect 3 hours of running talk today? Look, Josh, you have seen the Google Doc. That there is no running content on the Google Doc today.
Not a drop.
But that doesn't mean that we don't I had a great run yesterday, an incredible run yesterday. So I could talk about that if you'd like.
I mean, I'm willing to go wherever you take us.
Wow, look at that.
I would just urge you to take us places the audience wants to go.
That is an important part about doing radio is that you want the audience to stay there with you.
Yes.
So this is my first solo show, true solo show, not like College World Series, in between show. It's my first true solo show, I think, since the Nick Baugh days. I do not think that I have done any solo shows since I've been on the air with John. I have filled in for people. I've done morning shows. I've done midday shows. I do not believe that I have done an old school solo show. Josh, the first time I did a show solo, Corey Ross was supposed to join me. He did not. I don't know why, and I almost threw up. I almost pulled a U.
Should have done it.
Yeah, Josh has loved throwing up on 1620 The Zone. So yeah, there we go. So I will do my best not to throw up. Coming up on the I was going to say on the program. What do you just say? Coming up on the Happer show. This is my favorite radio show. I should know the parlance of what you guys have. Coming up on the midday show. Coming up on the Graham. Coming up on
the Graham.
The Graham. Coming up on the Connor Happer show today. I do have a variety of things. So one of the things that I've wanted that I really want to talk about is the NFL. You know, everyone keeps saying that the vibes surrounding the Cowboys are horrible this year, and they're not wrong. But I figure we could get into a vibe check for all 32 teams. So I've broken up the teams. You know, Josh, I didn't count up the number of like tiers that I have. It's quite a few.
It's many. Yes.
Like 20 tiers maybe. So I have vibes for every single franchise in the NFL. We'll get to that in a little bit. Certainly coming off of the weekend that was. We can talk about Nebraska football, including a very interesting clip that was included in the Chasing 3 video that was most recently released. I was not planning on talking about this video because I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. And then I heard, so I don't know if you know this, Josh, Connor Happer is still doing content. It's just not for us.
Actually, since you bring that up.
Oh, yeah?
He worked the Storm Chasers game Saturday night, and my wife texted me, "Hey, Connor's here." And I go, "Oh, he'll just do anything that isn't his own show."
What else? What hasn't Connor done is the question right now.
He is all the way back at work, except for the Connor Happer show.
Yeah, indeed. So I was listening to him and Mitch Sherman this morning. And
Locked On podcast.
Locked On, baby. They start every day with it. I don't start every day. For me, it was like the third podcast to listen to today. But still, I did listen to the podcast. Well, they play this clip about Nebraska closing practice down. And Josh, if you would have asked me, 2 days ago, hey, why did they close practice down? I would have given you one theory, and Matt Rule disproved that theory very, very quickly. So we can dive into that because it's frankly, it's very, very interesting. So we'll do that. Sam McKewon will join us later on of the Omaha World-Herald. We can talk about that with him and so many other things. I had a couple of Dylan Raiola-related questions. You have a top 5 prepared for us today.
Yes, we're going to tie a bow on the Paris Olympics with the top 5 moments from the Paris Olympics.
Awesome.
The Olympics are over. Did you know this?
Yeah,
have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I'm sad. We'll talk about the Olympics, and I know that you John Bishop not here again today, but it seems like the John Bishop soapbox might be lended to you.
Yes.
Whether it's this morning or this afternoon.
I have a message for the olds.
Oh, perfect.
Regarding the Olympics.
Uh-huh.
Also, I have several questions about why the hell no one is at work today.
Oh, interesting. People aren't at work?
John's not here. Nick's not here. Connor's not here.
Wow, that's true. That is, we have 8 full-timers on the zone. That is 3 of the 8. That is almost half.
Yeah.
Actually, some would say.
But God forbid Josh Odson wants a day off to take care of things.
Josh, I apologize, but I will be off on Friday. So
enjoy that day.
Yeah, I will. It's my wedding anniversary, so it'll be very, very
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. If you want to wish me congrats, you can. You don't have to. But if anybody wants to, feel free. And if you want to send me money on Venmo, you can do that. Also, odd news and so much more. 402-951-1620, 42 degrees, the Source hotline. By your mom's house, you can call and or text us at that number. We've already gotten a bevy of texts. Some have been screenshotted and sent out on the No Context Twitter feed, which is on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. We are at Happer Show, the No Context 1620 account. If you'd like to follow that, is at No Context 1620. It literally says it right there in the name. You can also email us, Equitable Bank Inbox. I am Josh at 1620thezone.com. He is Josh O at 1620thezone.com. So you can find us there. And if you have any topic alerts, certainly, as we try to get through the next 3 hours and 14 minutes before COVID Jack Mitchell joins us, we would would absolutely love for any and all topic alerts.
He is absolutely asleep right now, right?
Well, that's a great question. The last correspondence that I had with him was an hour ago.
Okay.
But he didn't respond to me. So maybe he was already taking a nap. He is, I believe, in his basement at his home.
Good. That's a good place for him.
I believe that he is in his basement. Indeed. That's a good place for him. Stay in the basement, Jack.
Stay there.
All right. That is the Connor Happer Show. That is what we have coming on. We say hello. We don't do this on the ground. We say hello to our YouTube watchers. hanging out in the comment section like Big Al. Connor left to get milk. Yeah, seriously. He's like, I'll be back.
I'll be back, honey. I'm going out for a pack of smokes.
And meanwhile, he has a lot of other families that he's going home to.
Yes.
Podcasts, PA announcements, random interviews with Husk guys, but not the Connor Happer Show. It says his damn name on the marquee, but he has not joined us here. Wade says, hi, Josh Squared. Wade, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. And Travis says, guys, it's okay. We only have like 18 months till the Winter Olympics. That's true. We will talk about the Olympics.
Milan.
Have the Olympics gotten their mojo back? We explore that topic and many other topics on this Topic Alert Monday. Josh Peterson, Josh Hodson with you. It is the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone. You might also notice today, if you are watching along at zonetv.live, that Josh Hodson rocking some new jewelry. He's looking good over there. Doing a bit of a workout today, Josh.
My hand is so heavy. These are massive rings that no human should ever wear.
What's the phrase? Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
Heavy is the hand.
And where's
the ring?
Rings?
Hey,
yeah.
Tom Brady, Josh Hodson, handshake meme. Yeah. So if you notice if you're watching along today, what's going on with Josh's hands, do wish him a very hearty congratulations. He's looking good today. Those are sweet rings. Of course, one of our coworkers came over and immediately was like, can I have one? Can I have one? Can I see one? Can I try it on? And then she offered it to me just to feel the heft and the weight. It is very heavy.
They are huge, and that was the goal. They said the day they won, and just as big as a ring can be made. That is what they would like.
Uh-huh.
And then with each subsequent ring, well, it has to be bigger than the last one. So they've really boxed themselves into a corner here.
Interesting. So at a certain point, when does it cease being a ring and become something else entirely? You know, like at the is it Wimbledon where you get the big plate?
The big plate.
Maybe eventually you get a giant plate.
I would gladly accept the big plate
clock type situation. Uh-huh. There is an alternate world, and this is such a summer topic, but there's an alternate world where instead of a ring that like they gave away watches or like jewelry that you can, wear on maybe a bit more of a normal basis. Like if you walked around wearing one of those rings at all times, you go to the grocery store, and you pick up a box of cereal for your child with that ring on. People are like, what's going on? But if you have a watch, it's, I don't know. I guess people don't really wear regular watches anymore. We're all about the ones that can count our steps and the such.
And my heart rate.
And your heart rate. Always important to make sure you got your heart rate in check. Was it a little flutter last night as you're getting your ring?
A little bit, because I hadn't seen them, and they
man.
did this whole thing where it's like, okay, everybody take your rings and we'll all open them together. So there was the sort of the Christmas Day anticipation of having a box in front of you that you can't touch or open.
Man, those are the days. Those are the days. A couple other things that we'll get into today that I'm really excited. One, Stu Manji, our real good friend Stu Manji, put together some incredible numbers this weekend about Nebraska's running back position and just how bad it's been in recent years. So I wanted to dive into that. And also, we'll do this in our next segment, talk about the first two games and how unique things could be around here. Just some oddities, whether it's starting with a home game for the first time since 2019, or the potential of going 1-0 for the first time since 2019. But I was diving into a few more numbers this weekend, and I found some stats that are pretty mind-blowing, going back to something that Dave Feit wrote about at HuskerMax.com. So we will have that coming up for you in our next segment. But before we did that, Josh, I did want to mention this, and I don't know if we'll talk about it on this show or if I'll talk about it with Jack later on Sportsman Iconic, but the Iowa Hawkeyes there's been a lot of interesting discourse surrounding them, given that they had an open practice this weekend, and it did not seem like their quarterback position, certainly Cade McNamara, played very well. But and just wait. If you
I've not seen this nor heard about this.
If you enjoy Iowa Schadenfreude, I think I'm going to have the topic for you. Again, I don't know if that will be on this show or the next show. I planned 8 hours worth of stuff today, so where it falls, ultimately, I do have 2 different prep sheets. So, maybe I'll have to do a little copying and pasting or making sure that I have either of them open during this show.
You got options.
I do have options. But if you like Schadenfreude surrounding the Iowa Hawkeyes, stay tuned for some point today before 6 o'clock. But before we get to some Nebraska football stuff, Jeff Sims, he is vying for the starting job at Arizona State. And there was a write-up from azcentral.com this weekend. Michelle Gardner. So they had a scrimmage this weekend. It's scrimmage season for all of these programs. And I'm just going to read a couple of things directly from the story where she wrote, Sims, who had issues with turnovers last season at Nebraska, had 2 interceptions. He also took 4 sacks, 3 on 1 drive. His best of 5 drives was one in which he completed 3 straight passes, but it ended with a 45-yard field goal. But how about this? He had some words on his time in Lincoln. Back to the story. Sims is on his 3rd stop, having started his career at Georgia Tech. He's in his last season of college eligibility, so there's a sense of urgency for him to excel. And here's what he had to say after Friday's practice. I think at Nebraska, the pressure didn't come from all the fans and the atmosphere. It came from myself. I lost touch of why I was doing it. I tried to do too much. I overthought a lot, like I was in my head, but I wouldn't say that outside factors in Nebraska put pressure on me. I think I just put too much pressure on myself. And Josh, those quotes are interesting. I mean, first of all, I think that they are the first real quotes that we have heard from him about his time in Lincoln, I believe.
First I've heard.
Okay.
I'm sure he's probably discussed it somewhere publicly before this moment here, but I missed it if it happened.
Yep, that was the first time that I recall him speaking about Nebraska. But also given what Matt Rule said in his press conference after the scrimmage over the weekend, and then also the audio that we'll play in a little bit from Chasing 3, where he talks about all of the pressure, but it came from himself, which is interesting because I wondered last year if the pressure actually was the Nebraska of it all, whether it's the expectations, whether it's the fan base, whether it's the media, whether it's that it just kind of it started snowballing and he lost a lot of confidence. I mean, this certainly backs it up, maybe not from the exact angle that I would have expected it to, but certainly backs up maybe some of those thoughts that we had throughout last season, as he just got off, obviously, to a really tough start, and he was never able to find himself. It seems like, judging the quarterback competition, doesn't seem like he is going to win it. It seems like it will be one of the other quarterbacks that is on the roster. But certainly, Josh, every time a Nebraska player leaves this program, in a high-profile spot, and especially quarterbacks. We're always interested, right? Like Adrian Martinez went to Kansas State. We were very interested. Casey Thompson, I think it would have been similar last year at FAU before he got banged up and missed most of the season. If Jeff Sims were to somehow earn the starting job, I was looking at the early Arizona State schedule. They have some of the sicko time slots to begin the season. Week 1, 9:30 against Wyoming. Week 2, 9:30 against Mississippi State. So I'm kind of hoping he wins the job just so we can watch a little Jeff Sims. Yeah. And, if he has a nice game, people will be like, oh, where was this last year? But if he is bad, then people will say, oh, hey, it's just like last year.
But he's turning it over in scrimmages.
Okay. And I think at a higher rate than he did last year. And he took 4 sacks, 3 on 1 drive. Not great.
That is not good.
Those are layman's terms. No, indeed bad.
Let me break that down for you.
Yeah, indeed bad. Speaking of bad, the opener for Nebraska has been really rough in recent years. How rough has it been? Well, I wanted to figure out, like, hey, what does a 1-0 start mean? And certainly, what does a 2-0 start mean? And that's going back to a tweet or an article, rather, that I saw from Dave Fight. So we'll have that when we return. Also, I will go team by team. I'm going to let you know the vibe check for every NFL team. And yes, everything is bad with the Cowboys. So I'm not going to pick on anybody because Dallas is in a horrible spot. But I will go team by team, and we will give a vibe check on the NFL as we get so close to the start of the season. We are now through the first full week of preseason games. The Cowboys lost on a heartbreaker as the Rams drove down the field on the last drive of the game, and they won. So John tweeted at me about a Rams preseason game. So certainly Sunday was me reaching my depths of hell.
Disgusting. I had to read articles about Sean McVay on the sidelines doing color commentary.
He did. They did a live interview. I cannot believe that I had the game on live, but I did indeed have the game on live. It was mainly while I was doing work.
Gross.
It was mainly while I was doing work, Josh. I was prepping for the show, and I was like, you know what? I'll listen to Mina Kimes.
Yeah.
Calling a little football. All right, when we return, go through some of those Nebraska numbers. We'll also get to the NFL superlatives a little bit later on. Odd news, Sam McKewon, so many things, Abed, so many things. It is the Connor Happer Show. I'm Josh Peterson on this Monday with Josh Otson, 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys? Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back. Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. And don't forget about zonetv.live, where you can watch us each and every day. And a reminder that 1620 The Zone and Liberty First Credit Union Arena present Ralston Day, sponsored by Liberty First Credit Union and all of our stations. It is 18 days away from right now, August the 30th through September the 2nd in the Liberty First Credit Union parking lot. Free admission, carnival rides, music, food trucks, and a whole lot of fun. A couple comments as we move on from the previous discussion of Jeff Sims. Dan texts into the show.
Hi, Dan.
To be fair to Jeff Sims, a taco and a crisp meat in a meal is a lot of pressure. He did have a meal named after him, Josh. He did indeed have a meal named after him.
I don't know that anyone else has had that.
No. Yeah, even Eric Crouch. I mean, he got in trouble for accepting a ham sandwich. So, if that is going to happen, then you're definitely not going to have a meal named after you. Also, one of the things I realized, Josh, since I'll be here for so many hours, and this is not complaining about having to be on the air. I want that out there. I'm not mad.
Don't put it on the internet.
Don't put it on the internet. But my ice is going to melt over the course of this day. Normally at this time, if I need to refill my water bottle, I go to the fridge, but I also add a couple of cubes. As I can't remember exactly how my wife phrased it one time, but she was like, "You like your water like an unnecessarily amount of cold," which she's not wrong. I mean, it's as full of ice as it can possibly be.
I want it to be like from the depths of the Titanic, cold.
You want Rose to be offering you a cup of water while she is sitting out on the raft?
Yes.
And then Jack is dying.
I would like some of that water.
What would you give Titanic on Letterboxd? What kind of review is this Titanic?
I think I'd go like 4 out of 5.
Wow.
When I was in junior high, I was like, this is so stupid. Oh man, this is a stupid movie that a girl drags you to, but there's boobs in it, so you go.
And now you're like 4 out of 5.
Hey, you know what?
There are boobs in it, 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And plots. And there's a plot.
Boobs and plot. Rare combo.
Oh, it really is in movies these days. Am I right, folks?
And Connor's love of Titanic has actually made me like the movie even more.
Wow.
Like, oh, my guy Connor likes this movie.
Well,
okay.
yeah, because it's like, wow, Connor likes a movie. It's always exciting when he likes a movie. Yeah. Speaking of things that Connor also likes is looking at stats and getting in between the sheets. Stop me if you've heard this before, Josh, but the second game of the season for Nebraska, pretty big this year. As the Buffaloes.
Stop right there, Josh.
Yeah.
I have heard this before.
People forget we're doing a pregame show from somewhere in Lincoln.
Yes.
Don't know if we've said on the air exactly where yet because I don't know if we're allowed to. But we will be in Lincoln. Either. We'll be doing the postgame show from the Bottoms. It's going to be a great day, hopefully, for all parties involved. But along those lines, I was thinking about things this weekend and how the first 2 games are going to present something incredibly unique, at least in recent vintage for Nebraska. And how this started was something that Dave Fight wrote about in one of his recent stories. He said the Huskers haven't started 2-0 since 2016 when they beat Fresno State and Wyoming. The last time NU started 2-0 with one of the victories against a power conference team was 2007. And that year they defeated Nevada and Wake Forest. The Wake Forest game was a road game, much closer than it was expected to be. They killed Nevada, not so much Wake Forest, but they moved to 2-0. USC came to town, and the Bill Callahan era essentially ended in that moment in time. That's pretty wild. It's been 8 years since they started the season 2-0. It's been 8 years since they started the season 2-0 with one of the wins coming against a power program. And so I started thinking about that a little bit more. And one of the first things that came to my mind was something I said in the previous segment, and that is this. Nebraska will have a home opener for the first time since 2019. What's wild about that, so they had the 2019 game against South Alabama. 2020, everything changes, right? Because of COVID, they end up opening the season at Ohio State. 2021, that game was supposed to be the Erlingus Classic versus Illinois. Instead, it was played in Champaign because essentially a COVID casualty, if you will. But then the next year, they played Northwestern again in Ireland. And then last year, we know what happens. They opened the road on a Thursday at Minnesota. So you got to go all the way back to 2019 when they played South Alabama. Before that, you have to go all the way back to 1999 to find the last time that Nebraska opened a season on the road, and that was versus Iowa. So in every year since then, 2000, 01, 02, on and on and on, they always opened the season at home. And then in the last 4 years? They did not. And so they are finally ending this trend. For the first time since 2018, Nebraska will open with 2 consecutive games at home. The 2019 season that we were just talking about, they open with South Alabama. Of course, they go to Colorado. They lose that game. And since joining the Big Ten, only 12 and 17 featured only one home game in the first 2. So again, in the lead up to 2018, only twice had they had seasons where they went one game at home and one game on the road or vice versa. Meanwhile, since 2019, they've gone road home or home road, or even road last year, every single time. So again, they're finally going to get to do something that they used to do literally every season. A win would mark a 1-0 start for the first time since 2019, right? And that's something that we have talked about plenty this offseason. Before the loss to BYU in 2015, Nebraska had won their previous 29 season openers. Meanwhile, since that BYU game, counting the BYU game, Nebraska has gone 3-6 in season openers. They won in 2016 against Fresno State. They won in 2017 versus Arkansas State. They won in 2019 versus South Alabama. So again, they're going to win, right? They're going to beat UTEP. I'm going to go out on that ledge. Wow. You going to join me?
Why would you just come on the radio and say that Nebraska would beat UTEP?
Yeah, I know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But they're going to start 1-0 for the first time since 2019. And as we read at the start of this segment, they have not started 2-0 since all the way back in 2016. And so it's odd. And part of this is COVID related, of course. You know, playing the Illinois game, the only reason that was a road game was because it was supposed to be in Ireland. If they play that game in Ireland, well, first of all, I don't even remember the original Nebraska 2020 schedule. I don't even know what that thing looked like anymore. I know that Cincinnati was a game that was supposed to be on there. I'm going to Husker Max. It looks like okay, so how about this? Originally, Josh, in 2020, Nebraska would have opened the season with a power opponent, but it would have been Purdue. They would have played Purdue at home. They would have played Central Michigan at home, South Dakota State at home, and Cincinnati at home. And then Illinois would have been at home in game 6. They would have opened with 5 of their first 6 games at home. In the second schedule then that came out, when they were still opening on September the 5th, they were going to be at Rutgers. And then, of course, we ultimately know what happens. They open the season at Ohio State, and they lose 52-17. So, you know, they used to open at home every single year, and then because of COVID and because the Big Ten wanting to put some of these big games, you know, interesting games on these Thursdays, they have now opened on the road in each of the last 4 seasons, and it's finally going to change this year. You know, as you have it on the graphic, must-win game, ? Discourse surrounding CU in week 2. Dare I say, we're going to know the trajectory of the entire season after the first 2 games. If they start 2-0, you know, this will make Nick sad as he's out at Chimney Rock right now. They're going to go 3-0 because they're going to beat you and I with Nick Hanley and company hanging out at the Airbnb, or maybe on Gary's carpet in North Bottoms.
Either way.
Not a euphemism, by the way. Not a euphemism.
Important distinction.
Josh, if they start 3-0, just some basic math says all you got to do is go 3-6 in the final 9 games to get to a bowl game. No, we're not saying
that's all they have to do.
Can you imagine that? They start 3-0 and everyone's like, sweet. All they got to do is win 3 more games and I'll be happy. And then they go 3-6. People would be losing their minds. But how about this? You start 3-0, you can still go sub 500 and get to an above 500 season overall. You could go 4-5 and you would still get to 7-5.
Still counts.
It does. What's the purpose of all this? It's really to point out how weird it's been around here and how unique of a time period we really were living in, not just the uncertain times of COVID, but how the down ballot effects, if you will, that had on seasons worth of games. They opened the season. I mean, first of all, the entire Scott Frost era of weirdness, every year essentially was affected except for year 2. Year 1, the opener is not even played versus Akron. And so they open with a power opponent, which begins this stretch of opening versus power opponents pretty much every year except for 2019. Then COVID starts affecting things in 2020. Oh, they're supposed to open at home. Now they open on the road again against a power conference opponent. 2021, they're supposed to go overseas. They don't go overseas. but they're still playing versus Illinois in what was a must-win game in the eyes of many of us. Same thing the next year versus Northwestern. It actually is overseas. They kick it onside, they lose. Scott Frost is fired just 2 weeks later. And then last year, the Big Ten, they want these opening Thursday nights to be really, really big. They want teams involved on Fox. This year, Minnesota, as always, they will open on that Thursday. This year, they're playing North Carolina. So normally, Minnesota does open up on a Thursday. Normally, Minnesota plays on that Thursday versus a non-conference opponent. But for whatever reason, Nebraska goes to Minnesota. None of this is sour grapes on my end, by the way. It's just more, wow, what a really unique moment in time and normalcy of getting to play a team in a program like UTEP. Could that just do wonders for this program just to get a win and then have a 0 in the loss column, at least going into week 2? A win and a 0 in the loss column for week 3. You know, it's just like they haven't seen 1-0 as a record since 2019. They haven't seen 2-0 as a record since 2016. And I mean, before that, it was commonplace. The BYU game, you know, and I guess it's really interesting that the Mike Riley era really does kind of begat just very strange things moving forward. I mean, it's not like the Bo Pelini era was normal, but at least they were winning, you know, home openers. They were winning road openers or whatever it was. Like they were all, I guess they were all home openers. They were always winning those games. But since Mike Riley, 3-6 at home or in openers, period. And finally they're returning home. So I don't know, Josh, do with that what you will.
How often last year did people call the first month of the season? I don't know about your show. Just we need to go back to playing cupcakes the first 2 weeks of the season so they can learn how to play together, stack some wins, and get some confidence, and then roll through the rest of the slate.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. People are pumped. It's so funny, man. It's so funny how, you know, it's like interesting and it's a huge game when you get to open against one of those conference teams or non-conference games. And it's like, but if you lose, you're like, why couldn't it have been an FCS school? What are they doing to us? Sad Husker fan writes on the YouTube page, it's sour grapes for me. So he, unlike myself, which is saying, this is none of this is complaining. Again, don't put it on the internet that I was mad. I am not bothered by any of this. I, for one, think it's cool. On the other hand, I do understand Husker fans saying, good God, I just want a normal win, and I want to tune into John Bishop and Nick Handley famously doing Big Red Overreaction for week 1, and I want to hear their positive takes. I want to get excited about Dylan Raiola. I don't want to talk about a weird Jordan-like catch on 4th down in the end zone on a Thursday. Also a Thursday opener. I don't want a Thursday opener. It ruined my whole weekend. That's what people are saying. They're getting their wish this year, Josh. They're opening on Big Fox at 2:30 against UTEP. How fun will that be?
Normalcy. Not 11 a.m.
God, you know, as we get past COVID, nature is healing.
Turn to normalcy.
2:30, people will be drunk and passing out at Memorial Stadium. It's going to be just like the old days.
They'll be calling in, talking, why didn't Nebraska win 70-6?
Oh, what a great call that will be. I'll listen as I walk my dog, smiling ear to ear as I'm walking my dog ahead of Notre Dame and Texas A&M, and John's reacting to his television and screaming at Nick Handley for a bad take. And then Nick Handley screams at John and says, I just am excited about the Bears. I can't wait. We're all very, very excited. We're all very, very excited. Adam texts in to the show. 2-0. Screw that. I want 7-0 heading into Ohio State. Signed, beat down NU fan. Yeah, you want to talk about a good time around here, Josh? Can you imagine that? 7-0. Can you imagine? Like, can you imagine?
I don't know if we can handle the night and day switch to be 7-0 this season.
Everyone's super depressed and angry all the time to the most positive they've been in centuries. Remember me for centuries, as Fall Out Boy once said.
I imagine there'd be a lot of insufferable people around here if Nebraska was 7-0. It would be very exciting. I hope it happens. It'd be very exciting.
I'm thinking about the fans of other teams that listen to the shows on this fine radio station. There's Iowa fan JD, for example. I always call him noted Wisconsin fan Kyle. There's a Florida State fan. I can't remember his name anymore. Who listens. Michigan Lance. How mad these people would be. Like, wait, you guys actually lived up to the hype for once, and they're actually good, and everyone's having a good time.
No, that's not the way it would play out.
I'm triggered.
It would play out. You haven't played anyone yet.
Excellent point.
Play someone.
That's a great reminder. Play Ohio State.
Yes.
Stop playing Indiana and Rutgers and UTEP.
Get within 42 points of the Buckeyes, and then you can puff your chest out.
All right. Well, can Nebraska cover the 42? That's the question that we'll be talking about in mid-October. Can Nebraska cover a 42-point spread? 402-951-1620. You can reach us there, whether you give us a call or shoot us a text. The AP poll came out. Nebraska does show up on the web page.
Hello.
Where do they show up on the web page? How far do you have to scroll down? And is there a number before them, which designates a ranking, or after them, which designates others receiving votes? We can have that for you as we continue to roll on. Let's get to that Matt Rule audio, or rather video, from this weekend as well, as we kind of put a bow on the Jeff Sims conversation from a little bit ago. Also, I'm ready to dive in to the NFL. I'm hoping that Josh likes the various tiers that I created. I sat down, I had an idea, I changed my idea midstream, but then I kind of reverted back to the original idea. I'm fairly happy with what ended up showing up in here, so we'll see if Josh agrees or disagrees with me on what I have put together. Sam McKewon will also join us at 1 o'clock. Get to the odd news at the end of this hour as well. It's Connor Happer Show. I'm Josh Peterson, and sitting in today here on 1620 The Zone.
Look at me real
Josh Peterson in for Connor Happer, who is still on paternity leave. He'll be back a week from today, just in time for the countdown to week 0 of college football. Speaking of week 0, Josh, later on, Jack and I, we stumbled upon a Twitter thread where someone went and ranked every week of college football. And the look of it's very funny because it's like the 15th best week is week 0. The 14th best week is week 13. And so we'll be discussing that. But next week it will indeed be the countdown ahead of week 0 of college football. So we can, it'll be nice to have Connor Happer back.
It will.
What's the thing you're looking forward to most with the return of Happer?
See, now I'm going to say this and people aren't going to know what I mean by it. And they're going to think I'm being insulting. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to working less.
That'll be nice.
Not
having to carry as much.
Yeah, Connor knows what to do over there.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell him the way the ins and outs of the show.
Sure.
The guest lineup.
Sure.
I get to work in the morning and I go, okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, I hope that I did as good of a job as possible as the fill-in today.
Everybody's been great.
Okay, interesting. But listen to that tone, though.
I do have to tell them.
Yeah.
Who the guests are.
You do. I know. I know Sam's on.
Yeah.
No Mike Schaefer today, by the way. He's on vacation. He's not going to join the Grum this week either.
Another person, not here.
Yeah, seriously.
At their designated
Everyone
time.
Really is getting the last vacation in, aren't they? Before football season. Husker country. Count down the days till Happer is back. It's 7. He'll be back a week from today. Tiger Shark Diver writes, I heard Connor was kidnapped by bears.
Oh, no.
Interesting. Is that true?
Hear that, Ed? Bears.
Interesting. Kenneth says, have you seen Ohio State's first 3 games? Gauntlet.
Oh, I think it's the exact. What's the opposite of a gauntlet?
I know because I know this because I was talking about it with somebody earlier today that they opened with Akron. Let's see what else they have. Western Michigan and Marshall.
Need to watch out for Akron.
They do have Oregon in mid-October. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
That's one of the 2 or 3 most anticipated games of the year, right?
And by the way, when I just searched Ohio State football, there's all these numbers now next to all these games, and that's because the Associated Press poll just came back out within the last half hour or so. Now, I'm not going to do what Jack did, where he just read you the entire top 25 last week. Now, look, I mean, we're all trying to kill segments, are we not? That's the goal of radio. I'm not going to do that. Is there any teams before we get to Nebraska, because they are on this page, that you would like to know about, Mr. Josh?
Other than Nebraska?
Other than Nebraska. Who are you interested in? I can tell you that Ohio State's second.
I am interested in a smattering of teams. Michigan.
Okay. Michigan is 9th. They are the 4th highest ranked Big Ten team.
Wow. Enjoy that, Michigan. It's not going to be that way all year.
Oh.
Candidate for regression.
Interesting.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, a team a lot of people are buying into this year. Josh, they are also, like Michigan, the 4th ranked team in their conference, but they are the 6th ranked team overall. How about them out?
Wow. 4th ranked SEC team, 6th in the country.
Yeah, they're behind Georgia, Texas, and Bama, who are 1, 4, and 5.
I assume Ohio State and Oregon are those 2 other teams.
They are indeed. Okay. Those are 2 and 3.
Interested in Missouri.
Missouri. They are, if the playoffs started today, Josh, they'd be in. They're 11th.
Oh.
So they'd be the last power conference school into the playoff.
Now, in the coaches poll, there was not a quote-unquote group of 5 team. Is there a group of 5 team in the AP poll?
No, the most votes received by a G5 is Boise, and they would be ranked 28th.
Okay, and then Iowa is where I would also be curious.
They are the last team in the top 25, and that's how I realized that the Google had updated, because Iowa had a 2-5 next to their name at Ohio State on October the 5th. So the top 25 poll is out, but I did mention that Nebraska is on this page. Now, they are not inside of the top 25. I don't think that's going to surprise anybody, but they did receive votes. Now, I don't know how many votes they received because, they go by points, right?
It's not 1.1 vote.
Correct. Like Georgia has 1,532 points.
It's a lot of points.
They don't have 1,532 votes. By the way, they did have 46 first place. Ohio State had 15. Oregon had a single first place vote, and that is all of the first place votes for the AP. But they are in the others receiving votes. They have 16 points. They are above 1, 2, 3, 4. They're above 7 teams, including Wisconsin, by the way, Josh. It looks like I should have done this during the break, but I was an idiot. Looks like they're about 35th overall.
Okay.
In the AP Top 25, AP Top 35, if you will. So just outside. I saw last week, Brett McMurphy said if I were to do a top 40, Nebraska would have been in. So there you go.
RV Nebraska.
Mike writes on the YouTube, sup Josh's, and then adds Mizzou is not making the playoffs. Put it on the list. I would like to issue a retraction. They would not be the last team in because there is a Big 12 school that would jump them getting the auto bid if the playoffs started today, and that would be Utah. Utah's at 12th, so Missouri would get kicked out, and then Boise would be the highest-ranked G5 team. Again, if the playoffs started today on August the 12th without any games being played. Be pretty interesting.
Amy just has released her ballot.
Oh!
Let's see. What's interesting in here? She did not have Iowa.
I thought you were going to say nothing. It's like, damn, bro.
No.
What's interesting in here?
Nothing.
She
says she's a little higher on Mizzou than everyone. She's not high on A&M. And she said, I'm way higher than everyone else on Louisville.
Louisville was 26th.
She has them in 20th.
All right. Wow. She is much higher. Yeah, they were the first team out receiving votes. And they had quite a few more points than Virginia Tech did. So kind of far and away the team that people seem to like, though maybe a lot of those points came from Amy. She had him climbing up into the top 20. So that is the AP top 25. I mean, another marker as we get so close to the start of the season. 4 Big Ten teams inside of the top 9. Penn State was the lone team, Josh, that I did not mention a little bit earlier. 1 ACC team in the top 10. That's Florida State. Clemson is next at 14. No Big 12 teams in the top 10. Utah is the best at 12. And Notre Dame, they're in there at 7th overall. So that is the current. So they would host, again, if the playoffs started today, they would host a playoff game in South Bend. Let's get to this video from the latest Chasing 3 that Nebraska released. So a bit of a backstory. Now, it's funny because I was planning on asking Sam McKewon about this at 1 o'clock. The reason why they didn't open practice, was it because, Dylan Raiola is like so far and away the obvious number one? Is it just, to try to keep things, behind the scenes a little bit? Is it maybe to provide a bit more focus? If you would have given me 100 guesses, I would not have guessed the reason why Nebraska would have ended up keeping the practice close. So let's get to this video and then another quote from Matt Rule that he had over the weekend, and kind of unpack this a little bit.
You guys want to know why we've lost a lot of close games? You just saw it, okay? We thought here, but because there's people watching, you don't want to look stupid because you're leveraging the football. We're just grabbing people.
Try this one more time. Let's see if we can hear it now.
Hey, look at me real quick.
Not working.
Which means either you're not a good athlete or you're not doing what we're trained to do. Our seniors, their first drive, they go sit on the bench at a practice.
Appreciate it.
And the fight breaks out.
You as well.
There we go.
Hop back onto the stream.
Back to normal.
We apologize for those watching in the YouTube who are unable to hear that. So Matt Rule, essentially, I really wish that I would have written down the exact things that he said, but essentially it was like, you have your friends and your family. Why are you performing the way in which you're performing right now? What is going on right now that people are around? And it's a little, I guess it's kind of worrisome that they decided to close practice down, for this reason. This is Matt Rule over the weekend. I wanted the players to have the space where no one's watching. Let me just go play. You can say what you want, but when your mom, your dad, your sister's there's an extra little something. I've had a lot of guys mention that to me. So they have performed poorly in some of these practices, I guess, with people that are invited. And the look on your face, Josh, that's kind of it's perplexing, right? It's honestly, it's kind of stunning. And when I heard that quote this morning, when I heard the audio, honestly, I was taken aback a little bit as someone who has been pretty bullish on how the season could go. It was one of those first moments of like, do I need to maybe change my tune? Do I need to change exactly how I am viewing the program? Again, I will read that quote. This was Matt Rule. I wanted the players to have this space where no one's watching. Just let me go play. You can say what you want, but when your mom, your dad, your sister's there, there's an extra little something. I've had a lot of guys mention that to me. Josh, when they opened the season, we were just kind of breaking down that it'll be a home game for the first time since 2019. There will be like 80,000 people inside the stadium. Some of them friends and family, others just random fans.
Many of them watching the game.
Many of them, yes, not all of them, but many of them, in fact, more than 50% at the very least, will be watching the game.
Let me play this, and you tell me if this is the audio.
All right, perfect.
Quick, if you guys want to know why we've lost a lot of close games, you just saw it, okay? We thought here, but because there's people watching, you don't want to look stupid because you're leveraging the football. We're just grabbing people and pulling them down, which means either you're not a good athlete or you're not doing what we're trained to do. Our seniors, their first drive, they go sit on the bench at a practice.
Appreciate it.
And a fight breaks out in front of the fans. So I'll make my point. But this is why we lose. Because the minute there's people here, we don't do what we do anymore. How about we have pride in the way we practice, Jamari? Do your job the right way while we're out here. Yes? Do everything right. You can't change your shot with the game on the line. You do what you do. And I'm demanding you do it right. I promise you this will be a long night. For no reason other than I'm not losing. And that was losing. Not the result. The process sucked. So go to the rest of the practice. And I expect a standard, Ty. I expect a standard from you older guys. It's time to win. It's time to win. Winning is every day. Let's get to work.
So fascinating, right?
Very.
How about the part in the middle there? When it's people, and I'm paraphrasing, people are here. And can you find that part of the clip?
Yeah.
I want to hear that part again, because I think that, and then on top of what he said to the media, I think kind of explains everything. And again, I never would have guessed that was the reason why they decided to shut down the practice. Because real quick, before Josh plays it, normally scrimmages, it's not like, Josh and I can show up, but friends, certainly family, former players, and that's why you get the drip drabs of, hey, here's what happened in the practice this weekend. Here's Dylan Raiola looked amazing. That's what happens. Let's hear from Matt Rule one more time.
So I'll make my point, but this is why we lose. Because the minute there's people here, we don't do what we do anymore. How about we have pride in the way we practice, Jamari?
The minute there are people here, we don't do what we do anymore. So, and then again, here's what he said this weekend. I wanted the players to have this space where no one's watching. Let me just go play. You can say what you want, but when your mom, your dad, your sister's there, there's a little extra something. I've had a lot of guys mention that to me. Whew, that is fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. And that audio, by the way, that's from the Chasing 3. And then the quote that I just read, that was from post-practice availability. And how about this, Josh, before we go to break? He has final say over these videos, right?
Right. That we only saw and heard that because Matt Rule wanted us to.
Correct. That, I think, says something to
Yeah, he's a process guy above almost everything else that he is. And Matt Rule's a lot of things, but he's a process guy, and he wants whatever play is being called to be muscle memory.
Yep.
And maybe it's not happening, maybe it is, and they just had a bad day, and the cameras showed how Matt Rule reacted on a bad day for the players, but wildly fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. So just something, I guess, to keep an eye on. So that audio real fast, that's from the practice, the 1890 practice. So that was the previous weekend is where that audio is from. The quote that I read was from this weekend's practice. So this video was released after Rule spoke to the media for the first time. So like we have this quote now, we have the audio from the week prior. It's going to make the next time that he speaks, which I believe is this weekend. I could be wrong. I'm going to open up the schedule really quick. It's going to make the next time Matt Rule talks, I think, really fascinating. I know that I am now kind of curious and wondering about this. Yeah, indeed. So BTN is going to be in Lincoln on Wednesday, so they'll be there 2 days from now. Tony White, Rob Dvorak, they will speak with the media tomorrow. No availability on Thursday. Friday, Marcus Satterfield and another assistant will be there. And then on Saturday, after another scrimmage, Matt Rule will be there. I believe that one will also be closed. So that will be the first time that we have had a chance maybe to follow up and just say like, hey, kid, I'd love to hear, maybe an expansion on this, because I think it's pretty interesting. Got some responses that we can get to when we return. We have odd news coming up at the end of the hour as well. And we have to talk about the NFL, as I have put a vibe check on all 32 teams. Where will Josh's Tennessee Titans fall? Where will the Kansas City Chiefs fall? As we do our vibe
I'm
check.
guessing Chiefs above the Titans.
Interesting. That's an interesting theory. Let's see if you have me correct there, Josh. We will do that. We will roll on here. Josh Peterson in today for Connor Happer. Look at it's almost noon already. I'm having a great time.
It's going so quick.
People said that I had a martyr baton. No, I have a baton, a happy baton.
Yeah.
Soon I will just pass it back to myself. I won't be passing it to anybody. Jack and I will hold the baton together virtually because he has COVID. Josh Peterson, Josh Hudson with you. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Josh and Josh with you on this Monday. Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone. Reminder, fall is around the corner. 1620 The Zone is giving you the chance to win season passes to Nebraska's favorite fall attraction, Vallis Pumpkin Patch. You could win 2 2024 season passes to Vallis and enjoy all the fall family fun that Vallis has to offer. Enter to win right now at 1620thezone.com. Some responses to the audio and then the bonus quote from Matt Rule from the last, 10 days or so, going back to the 1890 practice and then the scrimmage this weekend. Max on YouTube says, I didn't really think anything of it, to be honest. I think it's what we all think. When it's actually game time, when there's people there, when something is on the line, this team doesn't perform. Yeah, Max, you're not wrong. So, it is what we all think. But just hearing those words, and again, Josh and I discussed this last segment, he has final say over this video. This did not have to be included. You know, Mitch Sherman and I don't know if you know this guy, Connor Happer.
I have a faint memory, wispy memory of him.
It's like a dream, a dream that is long gone. They talked about it today on Locked On, and I think it was Mitch who pointed out, like, I thought when Matt Rule called those guys over at the 1890 practice, because it followed the fight, and Matt Rule brings that up in that clip, but he thought it was just like, don't do this in front of people. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And that gets a passing mention. But it's a lot deeper than that. It
does seem to be a disconnect.
Yeah.
When it's go time, something happens to the team. And Matt Rule said at Big Ten Media Days, we don't have to get out a voodoo doll. Like there's no hex on this team. But there is some difference between practice Nebraska Cornhuskers and Saturday Nebraska Cornhuskers, or Friday, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. They do play on different days now. Last year they played on a Thursday, in fact. But in all seriousness, it's an excellent point. And you know, one of the things that that I have like compared this to over the last handful of years is like studying for a test, but then taking the test.
Bad test taker,
right? There are some people out there who are horrible at taking tests for whatever reason. The pressure of the moment. Feeling, you know, the time crunch, whatever it is. Maybe you're bad at retaining information. And so you get to the test day and you struggle. I mean, hell, not going to make everything about running today, Josh. We're an hour and 40 in, and I feel like I've done a good job so far.
You get a few throughout the 4 hours and use them at your leisure.
But I've talked to people, or I've heard interviews with runners before where they talk about the anxiety, the crippling anxiety of a run, of a race, where they can put in all this work. They can be in, I mean, like, you want to talk about something where it's like, you can just look at raw metrics and see like, how good are you as a runner? You know, because there's going to be elevation change and certainly the weather of the day can affect things, but it's like, you can look and see how good you are. And it's like, all right, then it's just going out and executing. All right. So why are you as a runner unable to execute? Let's turn that on the team. Why are they unable to execute?
I think it's like, that's fine. It absolutely happens in society that when the lights are bright, some people fold. Like, that's perfectly fine. But how do you have a whole team of people that are bad test takers?
Yeah.
You know, you got one D lineman who's a bad test taker and, for lack of a better word, chokes on game day. Like, that's fine. But how have you found 100, 150 bad test takers and lumped them all on the same team? It seems impossible.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it really does go back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, the Colorado game and the importance of it. You know, like, some people think you guys are making too much out of how important the Colorado game is this year. Other people think not so much. And they say, like, no, it is actually not even as big as you think. It's actually bigger than what you think it is. Pretty wild stuff. A couple more comments on the well, let's get to this text first. John texts in. Josh,
hi John.
You know, I haven't been a huge fan so far of Matt Rule, 500 coach, but I love what I just heard. If that's how he's coaching this team, I'm in. Interesting. So he is, I mean, 500 coach, I don't really think explains the whole story. I'm not going to get into an argument about that today, but interesting that the way that he says it would actually maybe get someone who's not a big fan of him on his side.
I assume you like it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You like hearing that from Matt Rule to the players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that the players are suffering through whatever they're suffering, but I like the way that Matt Rule is like, no, right now this stops. It's winning time. Like
and we're not talking about the HBO show.
No,
which got canceled.
Season 2 of Winning Time, famously bad. Season 2 of Winning Time here at Nebraska.
It better be good.
Better be a lot better.
Boys, this can't be like Winning Time Season 2.
It's Winning Time. Don't get confused.
Winning Time Season 1. So very, very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff there from Matt Rule. And again, so he'll speak again. He'll speak again on Saturday. I know that he'll get asked about this. I'm really interested to see what the answer is. Max follows up. He says, that's just a football practice, right? Happens everywhere. Has to make sure they're aware what they do in practice is what they'll do on game day. Yeah, Max, for sure. But like, come on, man. The team has been so bad. It's obvious that how they performed in that moment was bothering him to a point where, again, it's not just that he said it. This could have been something like Connor Happer, a dream that you never even think about anymore.
Did that happen the way I remember it
could have,
happening?
like, Josh, this could have been one of those times where a coach says something, and eventually maybe some sources hear about it from a player. It's like, yeah, Matt Rule kind of ripped into the guys and he called them out for how they performed in practice and how it only shows up when there's in big moments. And people would have been like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But very few people would have heard it. And how exactly do you explain that? Instead, he says it, and then they include it in the video the next week. Quite the message, I think, for the program. This doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just is.
No, yeah.
It's just, I guess, surprising would be the word that I would use. And not to keep calling back to the Locked On pod, but one of the things that they discussed was like, if that happens, wouldn't you want actually more people then to be able to watch them? Because if they're shutting stuff down, when they reopen it, it'll be time for the season.
I'm not a Chasing 3 viewer. I apologize.
But you like Chasing 3 Hours.
I do.
Great podcast.
Great. One of the best. I listen to it.
It is a podcast, says Josh Hodson.
1x speed. I want to savor it.
Wow, what a guy. Sometimes you even slow it down.
That's right. But I mean, sort of lost my train of thought here.
Sorry, I apologize.
That's okay.
I ruined it. Chasing 3.
I like that Matt Rule is doing this because it, like you said, it could have become this sort of whispered about thing, and the clips people have brought to the show as they filled in for Connor Happer from Chasing 3.
Yeah.
Because the hosts of this show are Chasing 3 viewers. I'm just not.
Yeah. Me, and for the record, I'm not either, Josh. Handshake meme.
And the kind of the quotes that all the hosts have been interested about are as it relates to accountability. Like, hey, you fumble my football, you're going to run a mile. And then you're gonna, well, I guess it's
5,280 feet, yeah. Petey.
you're gonna run, and you're not gonna play. So it seems like some of the coaching quotes that are coming out are all centering around accountability.
Mm-hmm. Mike, guys, you are not allowed to look in the stands on game day. Put blinders on.
Yeah,
put blinders on. Jeff says it's easy to shrug off, but this history of this team shows it's still a problem, and Rule made sure to make it public. Excellent point, Jeff. Yeah, it is a problem, and it will be a problem until it's not. And suddenly it won't be a problem anymore. We will see when that is, when that moment in time comes.
Hey, guys, look, it's John Candy.
That's what he needs to do. Just one. It's Larry the Cable Guy. He's a celebrity. When we return, it is time for Odd News. This will be not the first time I've been here for Odd News, because famously we did the Vegas shows. But the first time that I will be here across from you, staring into your eyes, Josh, as you read the Odd News.
Hopefully you'll have tears in your eyes from laughing.
Oh, I'll have tears in my eyes. All right. Speaking of tears in my eyes, when I found out about the Zone deal, tears in my eyes. I'm a big, strong man with tears in my eyes. This week's Zone deal, Le Voltaire, locally owned French restaurant serving the Omaha community for 22 years. And Josh, I know it's Monday, but we're already working for the weekend, as that one song once said. Friday morning, 9 a.m., 1620thezone.com, 2 $25 vouchers, which is a $50 value for only $25 to Le Voltaire. Go to 1620thezone.com again Friday morning at 9 o'clock. When we return, the Odd News with Josh Hodson. Wrap up hour number 2 next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Again, it's so weird hearing all these things at normal speed. I need them at double speed.
This
Josh.
is how they normally sound. If I put them at double speed, the people who listen to the podcast on double speed will have it on quadruple speed.
We should try that, see what it would sound like. I'll report back. All right, it's time for odd news. Josh, what are we starting with today?
We begin with the Olympics. Are you familiar?
Oh, have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
During the Saturday night baseball game on Big Fox, Chicago Cubs versus the Chicago White Sox. They wanted to talk about Dansby Swanson. He got his 1,000th career base hit Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations. Kind of a big day in the Swanson house Saturday. His wife, Mallory, scored the only goal in the U.S. women's national team's gold medal match against Brazil. So they won the gold medal 1-0. Again, big day.
Sure.
So Fox wanted a graphic to commemorate such a monumental day.
Yeah.
And they titled it Golden Power Couple. And they had a photo of Dansby Swanson, and it said 1,000th hit. They had a photo of someone they thought to be Mallory Swanson.
Oh, no!
And talked about her gold medal goal. It was Sophia Smith instead of Mallory Swanson. I'll let you all Google the two of them and find out what Fox might have been thinking as they aired that graphic.
Not great, Josh.
And look at this. A quote from Kevin Kugler.
What?
Who I believe was working the Cubs-White Sox game for Big Fox. Later in the broadcast, the graphic was back. It was fixed.
Yeah.
Where Kevin Kugler said, and I quote, "This is the portion of the program where we offer a mea culpa."
Oh, no.
Dansby Swanson has had a big night, not as big as night as his wife, Mallory. We let AJ Pierzynski do one graphic tonight, and he puts the wrong picture up of Mallory Swanson.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you never let the analyst do the graphics.
No.
It's a rule.
Definitely not.
It's a rule. Maybe give a couple of stats, but don't let them in charge of the graphics.
No.
Not great.
Good cover.
Good job, Kevin.
By Kevin. I don't know how often you listen to the odd news.
I love the odd news.
We do a little segment within the segment.
Sure.
Truck spill of the week.
Oh yeah.
Very rarely on a Monday am I ready to proclaim something the truck spill of the week, but here we are.
Okay.
Idaho State Police investigating a Friday collision between trucks. Two trucks that collided. 2:15 Friday afternoon in Idaho.
Well, the drum was on.
Yes.
Maybe they were listening to the crossover.
They might have been laughing too much because one truck hauling molasses crashed into another truck that was hauling manure.
Oh, no.
So
sticky poop.
Yep. All over the roads there.
Oh, where was this at?
This is I-84 east of Jerome. I'm sure we're all familiar of this part
Jerome's
of Idaho.
In the house, so watch your mouth.
Yeah. 1998 Freightliner. Why do I care what type of semi-truck
I was just going to ask the same question.
49-year-old male from Clovis, California was traveling in a different semi-truck that has been oddly specified.
It's the odd news, not the oddly specific news.
48,000 pounds of cane molasses struck the rear of a manure truck. 1,000 pounds of molasses spilled onto the roadway. One person was taken to the hospital. They're fine, though. They weren't wearing their seatbelt.
Everyone's okay, though.
Yes, everyone's okay. Professional driver not wearing his seatbelt.
First thing I thought of when you tell me an accident that involves manure, there's one thing that I think of, and that's Back to the Future, parts 1, 2, and 3.
That's right. It was
as manure, famously a callback in all of those movies. Biff Tannen and his various relatives always had to deal with manure.
Yes,
he hates manure.
He does.
Josh?
I mean, who loves it?
Yeah. Well,
besides Costanza.
That's a great question. Poll question. Who loves manure? I guess there's not an option there. It's just a question. Just a question, rather. Who loves manure? All right. Wow. What else do we have?
Finally, we end in I don't know where this is. Washtenaw County.
Okay.
Not sure where that's at.
I was just going to say, where do we know the state?
Doesn't seem relevant to the story, but
Okay.
a foul-mouthed defendant will
Michigan.
There it is, right there, the end of the first sentence.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know. A foul-mouthed defendant will be in jail for over a year after he told a Michigan judge to kiss my ass.
Whoa! You can't tell a judge to kiss your ass.
In an expletive-laced outburst in court. Daryl Jarrell is the guy's name. Might be Darrell Jarrell or
Darrell Jarrell. I mean, it could just
be.
It could be maybe a hodgepodge, a combination of the two.
It is quite the name to see typed out in front of you. Appeared before the county judge on Wednesday for a simple misdemeanor trespassing charge. But as the judge was about to adjourn, that means end the festivities, the Daryl decided to sound off. I'm tired of this state. I'm ready to leave as soon as possible, he said. He ranted, it's trespassing. I could technically leave and you guys could issue a warrant. As long as I don't return, you could just kiss my ass.
Wow.
Simpson did not appreciate the swearing, the judge, Judge Simpson. You know what? No. I'm going to tell you what. Bleep you, Gerald interrupted.
Oh, now we're swearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's contempt. That's 93-day misdemeanor, Simpson shot back. Seems harsh. 93 days in jail if you tell a judge
well, he did say the F word, though, after that.
And then Gerald repeated the swear and was slapped with another 93 days. So very Breakfast Club situation here.
Yeah.
But instead of one extra day of Saturday school, it was 93 days in jail.
That would be a bummer.
Yes.
I don't think I would speak to a judge like that.
As a bailiff escorted Daryl out of the courtroom, he continued hurling profanities at the judge 6 more times.
Bro.
Racking up 558 days behind bars.
What? So it turned into a detention situation over and over again for Daryl Jarrell? Yeah. So wait, this guy...
Does Barry Manilow know you raided his wardrobe?
That's
another one.
So this guy wouldn't have gone to jail at all before he said ass?
That is correct.
Oh my gosh, and now he's going to be there for over a year?
Yes. Oh. Nearly 2 years.
Talk about your all-time backfires.
Yeah.
Also, you shouldn't say something like that to a judge who has your life in their palm. Ass? Is that what, I mean, or is it the less the ass and more the kiss it component?
I believe it's the entire lack of decorum.
Judge, you're going to jail for over a year for lack of decorum. Daryl Jarrell. Wonder if he knows Julia Gulia. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Oh, that was the odd news with Josh Odson. When we return, we'll kick off the third hour of the Connor Happer Show with me, Josh Peterson, as we get a text from Jim and O'Neill. Hey, where is Jack? Jack has COVID.
He does.
He'll be back later, though.
That's not us disclosing his medical information. He disclosed it himself.
Thank you for saying that. One of the first things I did after he texted me was go to the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed to see if he had tweeted about it. Because I was like, how am I going to handle this tomorrow? Thankfully, Jack lets us all in on his inner darkest secrets, and COVID is not even that. So thank you, Josh.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, or thank you, Jack, rather. When we return, vibe check. Many people have been saying that the vibes surrounding the Cowboys are horrible. They're not wrong, but it got me thinking. What are the vibes like for all 32 NFL franchises? We will discuss that when we return. Sam McKewon in an hour as well. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone. Folks, it's the Joshes today. Josh Peterson, Josh Hodson with you.
Hello.
On 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, 1620 The Zone TV, zonetv.live. Josh, there's so many ways that people can watch us, so many ways that people can listen to us.
Podcast on double speed.
Podcasts on double speed. I do it every day.
I mean, radio replay, I guess, is what.
You know, I don't listen to every one of your segments, but I would say I listen to about half of your show. At the very least, half of your show. I always listen to the opener.
Hopefully the good half.
Yeah, indeed. There are some regular guests that you guys have that I always enjoy hearing from. When NFL, I'll be honest, MLB overreaction, underreaction, or MLB
reaction over.
Yeah. My bad. I'm not listening to that. But when you do the NFL version,
okay.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be back. So
the writers appreciate that.
Yeah, I love the writers. The writers are very, very good. Occasionally I have chimed in. I have been one of the unnamed writers. So
guest writer.
Yeah, and then Happer's always like, what the hell? I wasn't told about this writer. So I think that I tried to tell him that the Cowboys were good last year, which allows us to kick off a vibes check. So NFL season, now less than a month to go, which is awesome.
Many would say it's technically here.
They would say that. We have the Arizona Cardinals New Orleans Saints game on from sometime this weekend. I don't know what day it was, but that game is on our television right now here on the NFL Network. And
shout out Michael Severe.
Yeah. Yes. Have you seen Michael's video? Did you know Scott Frost wasn't going to meetings, Josh? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I had heard some rumblings of that, yes.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Michael, he'll be filling in for me on Friday.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they'll be doing Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I figured there had to be a reason, like, we're just doing Empire Strikes Back randomly?
No, it's actually for the 200. It's our 200th movie.
Okay, that's the 200.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but Michael will be there, so that'll be fun. But, you know, I take in many podcasts, all of them at double speed, and quite a few of them are about the NFL. Well, you know, in a lot of these discussions, the Dallas Cowboys come up as this team that is like a tire fire and everything is bad and nothing is good and CeeDee Lamb is going to get traded and Dak Prescott's going to leave and Micah Parsons is a weirdo. And yes, all of it is probably true. Though I hope that they don't trade CeeDee. Many things about that are true. And so I was listening to, in particular, Dominique Foxworth had Mina Kimes on his pod at the end of last week. And they were handing out superlatives. And like they just kept making fun of the Cowboys, which was making me sad. But then it gave me an idea. So I guess it ends up being a net positive. And that is this. I wanted to go through team by team to discuss like, hey, what's going on with some of these franchises and how are people feeling? And so first I wanted to do like a kind of yearbook quote for everybody. That was really hard. And so I stopped. Then I was like, I'm just going to do good vibes and bad vibes. But then that was, sorry. What were you going to say?
No.
Okay. But then that was difficult because I put the good vibes together and it was like the Rams were in the same tier as the Chiefs. And I was like, well, that's stupid. Just because people are excited about the Rams doesn't mean that they should be in the same tier as the Chiefs. And eventually I kind of stumbled, not so much back into yearbook quotes, but, having many different tiers. I forgot to count them up, Josh. It is close to 20, I believe, that I have. The most teams in one singular tier is 5. Otherwise, it's 4 or fewer for pretty much every single tier. So let's dive into these, shall we? Should we start with the defending champs, the best team in football?
Seems like a smart place to start.
Only the best of vibes for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, look, they got injury situations. Maybe people are wondering about the receiver room. They got this young guy that everyone's excited for. They have the best quarterback in the game. The vibes for the Chiefs continue to be immaculate. The only way that the vibes are bad is if you are a miserable Chiefs fan who wants to yell at people like Josh Hodson and me all day long because we say you'll go 13-4 instead of 14-3. Right?
I got some questions about what's going on inside the walls of the Chiefs facility.
Do you?
John Gruden.
Yeah.
Now on the field, I don't think any of it's going to matter. They're going to be very good.
Yes, exactly. And the vibes are just on the field. They're not about the meeting rooms.
Oh, okay.
And those things behind the scenes. So those are the Chiefs. They are in their own tier. Again, they will not be in a tier with the Los Angeles Rams. Sure, the vibes are good overall, but doesn't the losing team in the Super Bowl usually have a bad year? There's one team that goes in this tier as well, Josh, and that would be the San Francisco 49ers. What's going on with the vibes? They're in 49er land. Look, great franchise. One of the best played callers in the sport. Certainly an offense that is built to handle all sorts of things right? Hey, Mr. Irrelevance at quarterback. Oh, they're still the best offense in the league. Oh, Trent Williams goes down. Oh, they're still a top 10 offense in the league. They're a great team, a great franchise. But what's going on with this trade situation? It might trade away one of the receivers and Brandon Ayuk that makes the entire offense go. Defense and another new coordinator a year later. And again, losing teams in the Super Bowl, they normally have weird crap happen. Remember the Eagles last year when they won one game in their final 7? They were the team that had lost in the Super Bowl. So yeah,
Niners went 6-10 last time they lost.
Oh, people forget. Year from hell for the 49ers back in the COVID year.
Yeah.
Could it be another year from hell for the 49ers?
I mean, that's an organization that is structured in just such a way that not one element can change, or the whole thing kind of falls upon itself like a house of cards.
Yeah, what's going on with the 49ers? A few teams, 4 of them, in fact, including the Los Angeles Rams in the next tier. And that's the I hope you're ready for the weight of expectations.
Ooh.
And this is where I started kind of dividing them, because I had the Houston Texans, I had the Detroit Lions, I had the Green Bay Packers, and indeed John's LA Rams in the good vibes tier, because the vibes are good, right? Oh my gosh, look at this. Texans young quarterback, CJ Stroud. Thank God he fell to us at number 2. The Packers. Oh my gosh. We have a third Hall of Famer in a row who will end up playing for the Jets someday and say some problematic stuff in Jordan Love.
Happens like clockwork.
It does. It's a tradition unlike any other. The Lions. Josh, the Lions hadn't made the NFC Championship game since the early 90s. The Lions hadn't won a playoff game since the early 90s. The Lions famously never made the Super Bowl. They're going to be a trendy, sexy pick for many people this year.
I don't know if they're going to make the Super Bowl or not, but today, do they maybe have the best vibes in the conference?
Yes, absolutely. It's either them or the Packers, in my opinion.
Those were the two I was going back and forth between.
Yeah, they overachieved. I mean, the Lions didn't overachieve last year. I guess they did. They made the NFC title game. What they did was they lived up to that usual plucky, like every offseason. Okay, this year, the Texans are what the Lions were last year, where it's like, we're about to buy all the way in on you. You guys are a ton of fun. They did that last year, and they did it maybe better than anyone ever has before. Well, now they have expectations. Them, the Packers. Like, if you don't want to pick the 49ers because they lost in the Super Bowl, you definitely don't trust either of the NFC East teams.
Right.
These are the two teams you're kind of deciding between. The Lions and the Packers.
Lions, 4th best odds to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, hello.
Plus 1,200.
And then I threw John's Rams in here. I think that people are expecting a lot. Now, they've had some injuries lately, and so perhaps I should have taken that into account a little bit more. I could have moved them into a different tier. But I think that all 4 of these teams, especially the first 3, and certainly the 2 NFC teams, they are entering this year with a lot of expectations. Wholehearted expectations for all of these teams. The next tier, there's 5 teams. This is one of the tiers with 5. And that is seems to be a make or break year. Now, this could come for 2 reasons, in my opinion. One is, if you don't do it now, are you ever going to do it? The other is, if you don't, make the playoffs or have a bounce back year or do something, it might result in people being fired. So on one hand, we're talking about Super Bowl expectations or conference championship type expectations. On the other, we're talking about you better make the playoffs or you might be fired. Those 5 teams, the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Philadelphia Eagles. What did you think of my 5 teams that I included in this one? Because it is a little bit all over the map, right? The Ravens and the Bills, for them, it's like you got to do the thing. For the Eagles, it's like you got to make the playoffs or your coach might get fired. The Jaguars, they just need to have a nice bounce back year. And the Dolphins, I think for them, it's like they need to prove that regular season success can be sustained in the postseason. Otherwise, that offense and the coaching staff, they're going to get tabbed as like a regular season type franchise. So
I agree. It does seem a little confusing because there's 2 types of make or break in here, but I believe they are all accurate.
Okay, perfect. I guess I could have split them up because I start splitting some others up moving forward, and you'll see them in different ways.
It raises eyebrows. It gets people talking.
Gets the people going, as Will Ferrell's character once said in Blades of Glory. Next tier, their quarterback is back from injury, so that's good at least. The Colts and the Bengals are in this one. People are obviously very excited about Joe Burrow. His return. What's going on with Jamar Chase? Can the defense bounce back? One of the things from last year with the Bengals that, has been talked about a lot on some of the NFL pods, but don't really see it a whole lot elsewhere, is like that defense took a massive step back last year. Massive step back. Offense, I think, took a big step forward, given that they had to replace Joe Burrow throughout much of the season. And yet, they still perform very, very well.
Friend of the show, Cam Taylor-Britt, said vibes are good.
Good.
Vibes are good in camp.
Perfect. Well, there you go for them. The Colts, what an interesting franchise. Anthony Richardson, the draft pick, I think a lot of people are like curious about, like, interesting. That guy, he's a physical freak, but are we sure he's a quarterback? Really struggled throwing the ball around. I mean, like, look, Josh Allen, him doing what he has done, I think has caused a lot of these franchises to go out in search of Josh Allen. And that's like the guy who's a 50% passer that they can hopefully turn into an MVP type candidate.
I can fix him.
Yeah. And that's what Shane Steichen and the Colts, I think, believe. They were a team that, in my opinion, way overachieved last year. Gardner Minshew almost took them to the playoffs. I thought Shane Steichen was a wonderful play caller. And they're hopefully going to have Richardson back this year. And then, we can see some of those things answered. We're kind of getting into a bunch of tiers that are in relation to their quarterback. Almost had their quarterback as VP for the weirdest campaign for president of the United States. There's one team in this tier. It's the Jets. For those who missed it, Aaron Rodgers apparently was considering running for president with Mr. RFK Jr. That is not the original.
Cheryl Hines, First Lady.
Can you imagine? It's too bad that Curb Your Enthusiasm is done, because there could have been many, many jokes about that. That's what they're in their own tier. What are we to do with the franchise? That you read me something off the air earlier about Aaron Rodgers and COVID and feeling bad or something.
He has regrets about how
interesting
him lying to us all went down.
Interesting.
I didn't read the article.
Not yet, at least.
It just would have angered me, I'm sure.
Probably for the best.
I mean, they're going to be really good or really bad.
Yes, they definitely will. They could have an awesome defense, could have a interesting offense. Can their line protect Aaron Rodgers? And I mean, he is old.
For more than 3 plays.
Well, if they can get to 5 plays this year, wow, we'll be off to the races. Speaking of interesting quarterbacks, Josh.
Okay.
Some would use that word. Some would say that doesn't describe our next quarterback. Imagine having to talk yourself into rooting for Deshaun Watson. Again, just one team in this tier. He's not on the Texans anymore, where the vibes are immaculate. He is on the Cleveland Browns. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being a fan of a team and you're like, Deshaun Watson? Remember last year when Joe Flacco took him to the playoffs and then they got rid of him because Browns fans probably would have wanted him as a starter this year, and this other guy's making $250 million guaranteed or whatever it is.
And then Jameis Winston is the backup.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
Not much better.
No. Good take, I would say, Josh.
Yeah. That's
bad.
Interesting.
To say the least. They open with the Cowboys, by the way, for those. And Tom Brady will be on the call.
And that's at noon.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Is it?
Yeah. Famously, the Dallas Cowboys always open at noon on a Sunday, Joey. Come on, bro.
Do they?
No. I do, you know what? I honestly do not remember the last time they opened up at noon.
I don't remember the last time they played at noon.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Our next tier, again, as we just kind of roll on with this quarterback train, how much NCAA 25 has their quarterback played this summer? Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually could have put the Cardinals in a good tier. I am intrigued by them at the very least. You want to talk about a team a year ago? If we were doing this exercise, Josh, it would have been like horrible vibes.
Mm-hmm.
They're about to move on from Kyler Murray. A year later, they finished the season strong. They beat both the NFC East champ and runner up. One game early, one game late. Kyler came back, and I thought that he looked like a serious person again. And could he be even more serious? And what could they do on the field? Their defense has to improve is going to be the thing.
Yeah, I am curious to see how, given a good skill player, Kyler acts now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Might be something there.
Might be.
Difficult division.
Mm-hmm. Very difficult division. You can make an argument that's the toughest division in the entire NFL. You have the defending NFC champion. You have a Seahawks team that took a little bit of a step back, but should be in the playoff mix. You had a Rams team that very much surprised people last year and will still be good, I think. And then you have the Cardinals. It wouldn't surprise me if any of those 4 teams made the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me if any of those 4 teams missed the playoffs. That's one of my hot takes for the start of the season is going to be about the 49ers, and I think they might miss the playoffs.
Whoa!
But that's going off of the Super Bowl loser kind of stuff. Back to our tiers. If you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings find themselves in this one.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on with either of these franchises? The funny thing is, man, I love both coaches. I think both coaches are very, very good. Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings last year, given all of the injuries, they got off to a really bad start. What did they start? 0-4. But they started picking up some dubs, and then their quarterback's Achilles exploded. They won a game with the Pastronaut with Josh Dobbs.
Remember that moment in time?
And then they played on Sunday night versus the Broncos, and everything fell apart. Look, the Steelers literally have never finished sub 500 under Mike Tomlin. If there was ever a year for that to happen, good Lord, this would be the one, right? Like, this would be the one where they don't go above 500, especially with 17 games.
I would say their quarterback situation, while not good, is better than the last year.
You think so? Not having Kenny Pickett and friends?
It just feels like, oh, of course Justin Fields figures it out.
Wow.
Within the
Interesting.
And I don't mean like becomes what we all thought he would be before the draft.
That's
but
a
like
bold take.
Becomes serviceable.
Yeah. Interesting.
Given the coaching.
Yeah, I'm going to bet against that, but I've been wrong about the Steelers before, as Steelers fans are happy to remind me. A couple of tiers in related to rookie quarterbacks. Rookie QB will be exciting. The Chicago Bears. I'm pumped to watch the Bears. I don't remember the last time that I said those words. I am excited to watch the Chicago Bears.
Been a while.
Poll question. Have you ever said, I am excited to watch the Chicago Bears? You and I famously were not watching football in 1985 when they went 15-1. I don't really think the Rex Grossman Super Bowl team, I don't think they were a bundle of joy. Maybe the Mike Brown teams when he kept returning interceptions for touchdowns back in 2001, a very interesting year for a variety of reasons. Josh, do you remember 2001?
I do.
Many of the things that happened.
Great baseball season.
But I'm pumped for the Bears. I love how excited people are. I was talking to a Bears fan yesterday, and just like he's excited. It's like, wow, look at the Bears.
This doesn't happen often, but I am happy for a fan base to just have some good things happen to them for once.
Wow.
My dad's a Bears fan. I have many Bears fans in my life, as we all in this area probably do.
Yeah, we live in Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. Sam McKewon, who will join us in a half hour. Bears fan.
I'm excited for them to not be miserable.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
What a nice thing to say.
A lot like the Lions a few years ago, where I'm like, oh, you guys deserve a couple wins.
You know who will not be agreeing with you? The guest that canceled on us today, Mike Schaefer.
Oh, yes.
He will not say that. Another rookie quarterback might be exciting. The Washington Commanders.
There was a little touchdown run over the weekend, if I remember right.
He is, Mr. Daniels, is going to be, I think he's either going to be like awesome and like super exciting and make them like one of the more watchable 7-win teams we've had ever, or his body's going to break down in like September. Oh, no. And they will turn into the team that we have known and not loved for many, many years. And that is just a horrible Washington franchise.
Who does he have around him? Okay, I see Austin Eckler on the box score here.
You know that name?
From Saturday's game? Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Luke McCaffrey.
Wow. That's another name that we know.
End of list.
Wow. Okay.
Now, this is just from Saturday's preseason box score.
I'm checking out some of the other skill players. Jahan Dotson. Zach Ertz.
Oh, okay. His wife plays soccer.
People forget. Terry McLaurin. All right. Well, at least he'll be exciting. I'm excited to watch him run around. That's what I'm excited.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Make a play because everyone around you is terrible.
We finally move on from the quarterbacks tier and we get into some coaching tiers.
Ooh.
New coach. So at least you have that going for you. The Atlanta Falcons and Seattle Seahawks. Again, like I think that the vibes are probably solid to fairly good for either of these teams.
On one side of the ball, the Falcons are poised to be very good.
Yeah, they're at the very least, both of these teams are going to be interesting as hell. I think the Falcons could definitely win the division. Yeah. I think they could definitely finish third. There's a part of me that wishes we got to see Michael Penix a lot this year.
Their defense is booty cheeks.
Yeah, and so they'll be playing in high-scoring games. So you got that going for you. Again, I talked about the NFC West a couple of minutes ago. The Seattle Seahawks. That's a very interesting team, a very watchable team. Brand new coach, awesome coordinator for the Ravens in McDonald. Just completely changed that side of the ball. And again, They were a team that hung around 500 last year, an obvious regression candidate from the year before. They did miss the playoffs. So, haven't known that I was correct about that, but they were much better than I would have expected them to be going into the 2023 campaign. I think that both of these teams are going to challenge for playoff berths. It wouldn't surprise me if either, neither, or both were in the playoffs. Either, neither, or both.
I definitely feel like the Falcons got the driver's seat in that division.
Yeah, I think so too. New coach, but it's Jim Harbaugh, so it depends on you as a person.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah,
this would be the Chargers.
That would indeed be the Los Angeles Chargers. I am someone who has very high expectations for the Chargers, probably for stupid reasons. Justin Herbert is injured right now. Sounds like he'll be back for the start of the regular season. Walking in a boot at this moment in time. Not going to be good, probably. But I'm going to buy in because I always buy into Harbaugh-led teams. It's not really led me in a wrong direction very often. So
Okay.
I feel like that's a solid take.
Does this feel like a boy? You really want to go ahead and have a good season, Justin Herbert?
Oh, or it might be moving on time.
I don't contractually, I don't think they can. But
I was going to say it's a huge number.
I think the fan base might turn on him.
Man, that'd be pretty crazy because I don't know what the number is, but like 24 to 26 franchises would probably say, sign me the hell up.
Yeah.
You look at that guy, his makeup, his body size, all that stuff. Like people would say, yeah, we'll take him if you don't want him anymore. Two teams that I wrote, I don't know what to do with you. Tampa Bay Bucks and New Orleans Saints. I got nothing for you, man. I guess the vibes in Tampa are probably solid. They made a surprising run to the playoffs. They made it to the divisional round. They almost made it to the NFC Championship game in the first year after Tom Brady. A much more likable team last year than the year before. A much better team than the year before. So I guess that the vibes are probably solid enough. The other team is another team in their division, the New Orleans Saints. Again, I got nothing for you. It's such a weird division. It really is.
Very.
Yeah, so those teams, we can just move on as quickly as possible. 5 teams in the I'm really happy I don't root for them tier. The New England Patriots, your Tennessee Titans, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants. Look, if you are not a fan of one of these 5 teams, I think you should be thanking your lucky stars that you don't have to root for them. Josh, you famously root for one of these teams.
Yes.
What's it like? A bummer?
It's not great. Everybody's excited about the return of football, and I just can't muster up any excitement for Will Levis.
Yeah, he eats bananas in a weird way.
Puts mayo in his coffee.
Yeah. Odd duck.
Morgan Wallen steals his girlfriend.
Oh, no. That guy, he said the N-word.
He did. People forget.
Wow. Well, let's continue to remind them. Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
It's not fun.
So that's the I'm really happy I don't root for them tier. One more. I'm really happy I don't root for them. That would be the Carolina Panthers. Again, my sister-in-law is a Panthers fan. She's in Italy right now, probably having a wonderful time in Italy. You know what she's not going to be doing, having a wonderful time? Watching the Panthers this September, because she roots for them, or in October, Josh, or November, December, and even that lone game in January. I bet she's going to hate all of those games. Actually, they might play 2 games in January. Ooh. She's going to have a bad time. Bryce Young walks around. He looks like a 3rd grader with his backpack pulled all the way up to his head. What are we doing here? Doesn't somebody say, bro, you look like a baby.
You need to carry yourself like an NFL quarterback.
Seriously, come on.
How do we have so many Panthers fans in our orbit?
It's very odd. It's very odd. Yeah. Famously,
Connor Happer,
Austin
Jacobson.
Yeah, indeed. And Travis adds, interesting list coming from a Cowboys fan, LOL. Is it interesting? I began the segment by talking about the horrible vibes for the Cowboys. And indeed, we have finally reached the Dallas Cowboys. And how I decided to describe this, Josh, is this. This is fine, I say, while drinking coffee with flames everywhere. The vibes in Dallas are atrocious. Who had the worst offseason in the NFL? The Cowboys. Did they re-sign anybody? No. Did they make any cool trades? No. Are they going to be good? No. Are they going to win in the playoffs? Absolutely effing not. Everything is bad. Is the owner still the owner and GM? Yes, I was going to maybe describe it in a different way, but I don't want that to come across as a secret list item that I'm rooting for.
Oh, okay.
But Jerry Jones sucks. He had to apologize essentially to what he said to CeeDee Lamb. We'll talk about that and on Sportsman Iconic later on. Oh my!
What
God.
a tease!
Yeah, not great, Josh. It is bad. I don't like being a Dallas Cowboys fan. I've lived most of my life in the Midwest. There's a world where, as a young tyke, I'm growing up rooting for the Chiefs, annoyed that they never get over the hump, only to then draft the greatest quarterback of all time. There's even a world where I'm a Broncos fan, and while I'd be miserable as hell in this moment in time trying to talk myself into Sean Payton and Bo Nix, hey, you know what? At least I'd get to watch 3 Super Bowls because I've watched them win 3 Super Bowls and play in another. There's a world where I guess that's kind of it locally. I guess I could have been a sad sack Vikings fan, but that'd be even worse somehow. Or a fan of the Bears, just depressed because they've never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards in a season. That's a real stat, by the way. I could have been all of those things. Instead, I root for the Dallas Cowboys. Sad.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have a lot. I'm not going to pile on you because I feel like you did a pretty good job of that yourself.
Yeah. Oh, Mike says I could have been a Packers fan. Yeah, I could have had 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row and still whined all the time. I could have been that.
Well,
I already whine all the time, but I could have done it with 3 Hall of Famers.
Only 2 Super Bowls to show for those 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
People forget Aaron Rodgers only made 1 Super Bowl.
That's right.
Isn't that wild? The greatest quarterback of his generation, some called him for many, many years, only made it to 1 Super Bowl. And the other Hall of Fame quarterback sent pictures of his wiener and also stole money from people.
I find it hilarious because I have twice as many rings on my hand right now as those 2 legendary Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Mike also adds that I could have been a Lions fan. I was in Michigan. Yeah, that would have been a bummer. Until now, it would have been a huge bummer. But yeah, I could have been a Lions fan.
That's a long payoff.
Travis texts in.
Hi, Travis.
Jerry Jones, Donald Trump, handshake meme, senile old white man.
Whoa.
Joe Biden has got to be so pumped that he is now not the old man that people always talk about. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Trump's actually the old guy now.
I haven't heard word 1 about Joe Biden since he said no mas.
Seriously. Shout out to, well, some people thought he was dead for some reason, but otherwise. John emails in, Bears fans will not be happy this year because their rookie quarterback is going to be average at best in the NFL, and they will be resetting again in 3 years. Wow.
That would be horrible.
That would be a bummer. I think of all the guys that they have drafted, this would be the one to break them. If Caleb Williams with Rome Odunze, if their offense isn't good and they're unable to do something and they're still trying to talk themselves into, these guys in year 2 or 3 like they did with Justin Fields, oof. That'll be a bummer for the Bears fans in our lives. El Scorcho, in response to our discussion earlier about, can you imagine being a fan of, or imagine having to talk yourself into rooting for Deshaun Watson? He says, oh, I can't imagine. Poor El Scorcho famously is a fan of the Cleveland Browns.
Travis makes an interesting point on the YouTube chat.
Oh, what does he say?
The Titans have made the Super Bowl more recently than the Dallas Cowboys.
I thought that you said I had mentioned all of the things that I needed to.
I didn't think it was possible to pile on, and then I heard that stat about Super Bowl 34, which took place in January of 2000.
In the year 2000.
And went, oh, that was 24 years ago.
Dude, I was a tiny baby boy. I was 11 years old. It was a different time in my life.
It really was.
Yep. Watching on a box TV.
Oh, those are so heavy.
Oh, man. Yeah, not great. All right, so there you go. That's a vibe check on the NFL. I think that I did a solid job.
Oh, the vibes of the vibe check were immaculate.
Were they? They're like the vibes of a fun team.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's cool. That's cool. All right, more to come. We have Sam McKewon in a little bit. Speaking of vibes being good, the Olympics came to an end yesterday. I'm sure that there was something in the closing ceremonies that pissed off a certain subset of the population. I have no idea what it is because I wasn't watching the closing ceremonies. I've never been a closing ceremonies guy. I like the opening ceremonies more. Closing is always sad. It's over.
It's sad. Yeah. It's like, hey, everyone get the hell out of my house.
Yeah, exactly. The party's over. But Josh, I know, has some thoughts. So we can talk about the Olympics, and I'll give you some theories on maybe why it was so good this year, why people were so excited, and why we're about to enter into an incredible stretch.
Listen up, snowflakes.
Over the next decade. We will do that when we return. Sam McKewon at the top of the hour and more. I'm Josh Peterson in for Connor Happer on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a fabulous driver.
The Connor Happer Show.
I'm one of the best friends you could ever have in your life.
On 1620 The Zone.
I hate you.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Josh and Josh with you on this Monday. Wow, Brandon says petition for radio guy Josh to replace Happer. Josh bends Josh like Johnson and Johnson on the football team. Josh bend Josh? I don't know what that part means. I'm not going to replace Happer. I want to do 8 hours.
You don't want the job.
No, I'm having a wonderful time today.
Okay, good.
But I also like doing one show a day normally.
Interesting.
And famously not two. A text from Pedro.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. Were boomboxes popular when the Cowboys last won the Super Bowl? Indeed, they were. I love the 90s aesthetic. It probably helps that the Cowboys were good during that time.
It's back.
Even though I don't remember it. Maybe the Cowboys will be back someday, Josh. Probably not, though. Not as long as I'm alive.
I mean, you got a lot of living left to do.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fit. I mean, I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to be good by then.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying the odds are better than not, right? I mean, every team turns it around eventually, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Look at the Lions. They probably thought,
look at the Lions.
this will never happen for me.
You'll never get this. That's what the NFL was saying to the Lions about the Lombardi. You'll never get this. Now they still haven't gotten this. So they maybe will not. We'll do your top 5, Josh. I didn't warn you about this. We'll do your top 5 this segment after we talk about the Olympics, because I know
this segment
it is related. Is that okay? I don't know when the top 5 normally it kind of bounces around, does it not?
Yeah.
See, this is now you're like, oh God, I can't wait for Happer. He doesn't do things weird.
He doesn't ask me a bunch of questions.
He doesn't ask me how do I do my radio show.
He just talks into the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are about vibes. It's a vibe show.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll do top 5 this segment, but let's talk about the Olympics. The question that I want to kind of begin the conversation with, did the Olympics get their groove back? Saw some really good quotes from Kelly Campbell, who is the Peacock president, said about the Olympics for the first
time. They have their own president?
What was that?
They have their own president?
Yeah, Peacock has their own president.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my reaction too. Interesting, it's not NBC, but it is Peacock. For the first time, I really feel like we've solved the conundrum of navigation. The audience is always like, I'm overwhelmed by the Summer Olympics. I can't find what I'm looking for. I do think the interface in the dashboard of Peacock has really solved that. Before we move on, Josh, would you agree that that played a part in your enjoyment of this year's Summer Olympics? And by the way, these quotes come from Brian Stelter's piece on Wired.com late last week that was titled, NBC's Olympics broadcast isn't just addictive, it's a new era of streaming. Would you say that the ease in which you used Peacock helped you enjoy the Olympics more this year than before?
Yes, I don't use it a ton to view the Olympics because I have YouTube TV. I just click record all and it shows up and I pick what I want to watch.
Yeah.
Very similar to how I would on Peacock. But I heard from the Tokyo Olympics that, oh my gosh, this thing's a mess. I don't know where to go. I don't know. Seems like that was ironed out about as good as it could have been for the Paris games.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it seems like that played a massive part. I know that I would throw on the Gold Zone this weekend when I wanted to see how the marathon went. I just went and because it happened at 1 a.m. our time. So I woke up on Saturday and I just searched marathon and I started it from the beginning, not knowing what was going to happen. And it was so easy to do. But I think this other part, I really think is a vital component maybe of why we enjoyed it so much, among other reasons. And again, this is from the Wired story. For the first time, NBC Universal decided to stop gatekeeping the hottest events of the day until U.S. primetime. Biles's gold medal feats have been shown live during the day and again at night. Molly Solomon, who is the executive producer and president of NBC's Olympics production, she said, no holding back. We are here for the audience. And so I read that quote, Josh, and then I was thinking about other Summer Olympics in my lifetime that I can remember. I vaguely remember 2000. 04, the Athens Games was like the first one that I remember, like it was on 24 hours a day, right? Like if you wanted to go to Bravo or whatever it was, like NBC Universal, it was always there. But they always kept the good stuff away from a television channel until NBC at night. The first time that I really remember noticing that was in 08 when Usain Bolt was, going to do the 100-meter dash. Because I remember watching that and having to do so like on a really crappy stream on the internet. And it wasn't, obviously it would have been Peacock. And so it wasn't on television. They did not show it live on at least that I can remember. 2012, London games, same thing. I remember watching, that's the one that I definitely remember watching on a really crappy NBCsports.com stream on my computer. That's how I watched Usain Bolt win another 100-meter dash. 2016, it was in Brazil. And see, then it kind of enters into this weird period where they're going to these problematic countries and, labor is resulting in deaths in this and the World Cup, et cetera, et cetera. So, and also I was moving at the time. So I vaguely remember 2016. We know what
I just love the juxtaposition of they were going to some really problematic countries and I was moving at the time.
It kept me from watching. And then 2020 turned into the 2021 Olympics. And we know what was going on there. Plus a time zone in Japan, just like the time zone in
that's
Beijing.
A big part of it,
Dude,
isn't it? It
not
really
conducive.
is.
And so this time around, look, prime time in France means that it's mid-afternoon here. Our own prime time is overnight there. It's 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So you're not going to see anything live. But how they had everything going on during the day was a game changer. I got to watch Noah Lyles run the 100-meter dash last weekend to win. I got to watch him win gold on television. Mike Tirico was even doing studio in the middle of the day on a Saturday, even though he still had to do stuff. Mike Tirico, Josh Peterson handshake meme, 8 hours of being on the air on the same day.
Are you Italian as well?
Many are asking that.
Okay.
Many are asking. We can answer maybe in the 8th hour of my radio experience today. But in all seriousness, I think that played a huge part in it. And now you look forward, 2026, it's going to be a similar time zone because it's going to be in Milan. We know about 28. That's going to be massive. And Mike says a big Paris Olympics really builds momentum for the next Olympics in the U.S. Bingo, man.
Yep.
Okay. Last time the Summer Games were in America was 96. I was 7. I remember it, but barely. We haven't had it here in over 30 years by the time that it returns.
Wow.
It has been since 2002 since we had Olympics, period, in America when it was in Salt Lake. And so we got LA in 28. Back overseas, again, for the Winter Games in 2030 in the French Alps. Then in Brisbane, Australia for 2032. That'll present some challenges time zone-wise, but I think that we'll get some live stuff. They'll just, they'll have it earlier in the day there. And then Salt Lake City in 2034. Not a whole lot of problematic countries in here, Josh. So you don't have to worry about human rights abuses and those types of things. Because I know that there are some people that are genuinely turned off by that. The time zone component is massive. And I'm happy that NBC finally embraced the nature in which we watch TV now, how we get our news, how we get results. They didn't try to keep Noah Lyles from us and wait to see what happened. No, if you want to watch him, you can watch. And you don't have to go to NBCsports.com or whatever. You get to watch it on
NBColympics.com.
Whether you're an old, and I know you're about to tee off on the olds, whether you're an old, whether you're a young, whether you're a millennial, anything in between, you're able to watch what you want to watch, how you want to watch it. Imagine not liking this stuff, Josh. Imagine it. Can you?
Connor Happer was like, "Oh, have fun talking Olympics, buddy. What are you possibly going to fill the time with?" Turns out a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was great.
It was.
As I predicted.
It was awesome.
It was.
It was absolutely awesome. Joe in Vegas.
Hi, Joe.
And maybe this is a perfect way for you to get going. Why on God's green earth are we even talking about the Olympics? It sucks. Thank God it's over. I would rather hear you have a death wish for Jerry Jones. Wow, that is he's also spelled Jerry wrong. Jeri. Jerry Jones. Josh, would you like to take the baton, the not martyr baton from me right now?
Oh, yes. Listen up, olds.
Nice.
Fix your hearing aids. Put them in. You're going to want to hear this because it's directed directly to you, especially the olds who prefer college basketball and all that implies.
And John Bishop.
I like college basketball more. They play defense in college basketball. Boy, sure saw a lot of defense in that gold medal game on Saturday. I saw a lot of guys squaring up to win a gold medal for their country. A country that many olds feel that those players don't appreciate very much. Boy, sure seems like they were giving it their all for the red, white, and blue on when was that? Saturday?
Saturday.
Sunday?
Yep, Saturday afternoon.
Boy, sure. A lot of people criticize the National Basketball Association, the NBA, for all those guys are buddy with each other. There's no competition, no drive. Boy, I saw Anthony Edwards bleep talking his own teammate Rudy Gobert on Saturday. Now, don't get me wrong. I know everybody doesn't like patient zero for COVID, Rudy Gobert. Everybody in that league seems to hate that guy.
They really do.
But both of them are on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he was letting them have it. Boy, sure seems like we got a lot of narratives wrong, and some apologies need to be said to Team USA, who, as a wise man once said, never lost.
They did not.
They didn't lose a game. Many of you were worried after a potential slip-up in an exhibition against South Sudan.
I have no doubt Clay Travis had some drafts of tweets written.
Oh, yeah. I bet he did.
Yep.
And they'll never see the light of day because Captain America saved us. And that teeny tiny cutie little Steph Curry, who's 6'2".
Dude, how about that? The new meme of him shooting the ball, and there's Wembanyama's big ass arms, not blocking the shot. That last Steph three was ridiculous. In a career full of ridiculous threes, in a career filled with 4 NBA championships.
Yeah. You thought it was interesting that his legacy was secured, and he said, "No, wait, no, there's something much more important." America
doing this for America, putting it on, waving the flag around.
Haven't had the honor of representing my country,
man.
And he went and did it when he didn't have to. Many would say,
no, his, like you said, legacy secured. Man,
interesting.
Nice to see. Nice to see someone care about America like you do, Josh.
Yeah,
and like Steph does, and Kevin Durant does. LeBron James, others,
famously loves America.
Joe in Vegas seems to be triggered still.
Oh, no. Interesting.
Does producer Josh's rat, I think he means rant, have a point? Does Josh have a rat? Poll question. Like I said, the Olympics suck and I hate college basketball. So once again, I go back to the initial question. Why on God's green earth are we even wasting time talking about the Olympics? Because the Olympics finished and the Olympics were great. I very much enjoyed them. Travis says, I don't understand the hate for the Olympics. Team USA all the way. Travis, excellent take.
Yeah.
Mustache Adam. The issue with the Olympics on the other side of the world, Asia, Australia, is Twitter. You can't hide from the information any longer. You actively have to work to avoid the misspoilers. You definitely do.
Yeah. I don't know a way around that because you got to give it to everybody live.
Maybe you move to Australia.
Yeah.
Maybe then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Jason Todd texts in, working from home. I loved the daytime live coverage. I'm sure this demographic will continue to grow. People, if you work from home, people love working from home, Josh, and they love having their televisions on while they work from home.
I bet Jack Mitchell, who will be working from home, will have his television on.
Because he famously has COVID.
But COVID.
Yeah, indeed he does. Pedro Texan.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. Both you guys are on fire. Olympic talk is great. USA, flag emoji. And then, thankfully, it is the American flag emoji, not the one that people sometimes use. Travis says, actively avoid. My brothers in Christ, I would wake up at 4 a.m. to watch Olympic events. Wow. Yeah.
I thought we were all about American exceptionalism.
America first.
First.
Some people say, unless they're watching the basketball team, then they root for them to lose for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But we're all America'd up.
Yep. I love rooting for America in basketball. Wade writes, I struggle to keep up with the amount of poll questions Josh P calls out. Do I call out poll questions? Do I call out for more poll questions?
Good one.
I don't think I do. I feel like I call for a normal amount of poll questions. I think I do at least.
I'm able to keep up.
Theo says, what's your take on LeBron versus the little kid? Don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Josh, do you got anything for us? Do you speak Theo?
LeBron versus the little kid.
Yeah, what happened? Was there a child?
LeBron tells young kid to back up in Paris.
What happened?
Oh, no. I'm going to watch a Instagram reel on YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That kid walked up to him, wanted a picture, but
he said, hell no.
It was not picture time.
Was this after they won the gold? Was this after America won the gold medal for men's basketball?
I'm going to bet so. Oh, and then
nice. Go America.
LeBron danced his way into whatever cafe this is. Interesting.
Fascinating. Douglas writes, handshake emoji with Olympic takes. Wow. When Douglas agrees with me, honestly, it makes me rethink everything. I think I might hate the Olympics now, Joe.
Wow. All the way out.
Sorry.
Oh.
Dumb sport. Wish the U.S. would have lost in basketball, like a lot of other people on the timeline this weekend. Seems Yeah, there you go. How about that? The Olympics. I'm sad that they're done. I'm also happy that they did what they were supposed to do. They got us some golds. They gave us some entertainment. And now football season is less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, this is definitely like you play the result a little bit. It was a good Olympics.
Yeah.
Because America won so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things we always talk about is like, you want to get to football season. And so I love summers with the World Cup, for example, which also will be in America. God, so 26 we'll have the World Cup, and then 28 we'll have the summer game.
Wow, America, what a great nation.
That will be awesome. It'll be fun to root for America in those sporting events, Josh. But it always helps the summer and pastime, and then it's not just about the White Sox losing a lot of baseball games, which, by the way, they got swept by the Cubs. So while they did break their 21-game losing streak, they have now lost 24 out of their last 25.
Their manager got fired.
Manager got fired famously. That didn't help them.
It didn't spark the team to victory.
It didn't turn them around. So, wow. It's nice. It's nice chatting about the Olympics on the Zone with someone who's like-minded, who agrees that the Olympics are fun.
I agree.
And that it's fun to root for America.
Connor was not having any of my Olympics talk.
Unreal. So there you go. It'll be nice to have them in America. I barely remember 96. I barely remember Atlanta.
Well,
I remember the dream. They called them the Dream Team again, even though they were not dreamy. They were barely teamy. They did win gold. But this one will be nice to like have it. Like I just am the broadcast nerd in me. Josh is like, how are they going to like schedule all the events so they're all in prime time together? Like I'm really looking forward to that.
It's going to be early, and then Mike Tirico will end each broadcast day with the sunset over the San Gabriel.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah, and like, okay, so the Olympics prime time is normally 7 to 10 on NBC on weeknights. So that'll be 5 to 8.
Yep.
And then they go to local news, and then they do that like late night thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no doubt that Tirico will still be involved with the late night part of it, right? Because like there will still be events going on probably until, I don't know, 1 o'clock Central. They'll probably have live events going on. Not the big stuff like the 100-meter dash, those types of events. They'll happen in the main primetime window. But I bet we'll see all sorts of stuff going on well into the night.
Oh, yeah, because every celebrity in the world will want to be attached to this in some way. So they will have a lot of content.
Maybe the Zone could go on the road, Josh.
The Zone in L.A. for the Olympics?
The Zone in L.A. It'd be like when we went to Circa, but instead of Las Vegas, it's Los Angeles.
Hello.
You change the A to an O, and then you change the Vegas to an Angeles. And then you're there.
It's the same thing.
It basically is the same thing. All right, when we return, friend of the entire radio station. His name is Sam McKewon. He's going to join us. We can dive into the stuff we talked about a little bit earlier. Matt Rule closing practice down. Also some of the things he wrote about in the Husker Rewind, which went up yesterday at HuskerExtra.com. We will do that and more. It is already the final hour of the Connor Happer Show. How the hell did we get here so fast? How the hell do I still have 5 hours left? God, time flies, and then you're like, well, but there's still more time.
Time has flown for me.
Yeah, Josh is
great.
like, I'm about to go home.
Yeah,
about to go home. All right, Sam McKewon. When we return here on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. It's the Connor Happer Show. I almost said unsportsmanlike conduct. I've done such a good job today, and I almost said it there, but it is indeed the Connor Happer Show. I'm Josh Peterson, and today for Connor, he'll be back a week from today, and right now we go to the 42 Degrees The Source hotline and welcome on from the Omaha World-Herald and HuskerExtra.com. It's Sam McKewon. Sam, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Nothing, man. Good to have you on. You know, it's funny, Sam. I was going to ask you about the practice being completely closed down. You wrote about it in the rewind. You said I was at practice leaks from Saturday's scrimmage slowed to a drip. And I was going to point out, that was pretty interesting that happened. And then the video comes out from Chasing 3. And Matt Rule acknowledges that some of these players, I guess, are struggling in front of family members and friends. What have you made of Rule's acknowledgement of that, given that not even 3 weeks from now, there'll be 80,000 people inside the stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair comparison. First of all, the roster is really big.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's 120 guys, but it's really, so you figure parents and you figure former players and you figure a lot of other things out there. And all of a sudden your scrimmages, especially if they're in the stadium, and I don't think it was, I think it was out on the field, but all of a sudden you're just getting a whole bunch of people out there. And I think there's just a sense of, gotta dial this thing in a little bit, need to look at who's going to play and who's not. This is the first scrimmage. The second scrimmage next week, you kind of make what you call that cut line.
Yeah.
You kind of say, all right, here's who we're going to have up and here's who we're going to have down. And again, they're going to have a 145-man roster. And the way they built it is they always intended on, they're not going to say it, but there's going to be guys who leave because they're scholarship guys who are also not going to play. And so, we'll see if there's any departures even before the season. I don't know that there will be, but so I think they're trying to really dial into, okay, who's going to be with us, who's going to be in that first couple of groups and who isn't. I think there's certainly a sense of wanting to make sure that everybody's concentrating and focusing. And again, when you have that many guys, you're trying to kind of work through everything that you've got to get done. And, I thought it was an interesting thing that he said to us. And then in the Chasing 3, there's just a lot of rabbit ears around this program. One of the first questions I asked Matt, when he had taken the job, I think it was like February or March of 23. As I said, there's just so many people around here and there's so many chefs in the kitchen and there's so many people who just want to help and they want to be around all the time and they all have ideas and how are you going to learn how to winnow out and how are you going to learn how to say no? And he felt pretty confident about his ability to do that. And he kind of cited some of his time in Carolina. And I said, well, that's not exactly what I mean. I don't mean critics. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people around that just kind of want to be involved and they want to hang around and they want to be around it. And they don't really care if you win. They just kind of like being associated with it. And I think they're working through that. I think that's going to be a journey for this massive staff and for this team. And, I don't think the 105-man rule will hurt Nebraska. The other people have said it will. And I'm like, maybe short term, but long term, I think that'll actually suit everybody in the room a little bit. They've got to find a way to tighten this thing up a little bit. They're very generous with their time and they're very generous with the media. But I get a sense that Saturday was about, all right, we need to tighten the chin strap and actually go into, this season really, really intentional about winning football games. And in the Chasing 3 doc, he even said the thing about, what feels really good? Winning, especially against a good team. They're turning the corner. The whole, we built the culture and let's pat everybody on the back for walking and chewing gum at the same time is we're moving past that era.
Sam McKewon joining us. So along those lines, Sam, what do you make of him including that in the video? Obviously, he has final say. Like, that could have been something that was left to guess about, or maybe it gets out in drips and drabs, right? Where people hear one story and a game of telephone turns the speech into something else entirely. Why do you think include that, such a public comment, and then to have his own comment again this weekend? I mean, they obviously go together. What did you think about it in the video?
That's a good point. I think there's a kind of trying to get clear with that he's trying to protect the team. And I think part of the message that he gets is like the world that we live in today, and I have a 16-year-old daughter. you're inundated with stuff all the time. Like, you're really never insulated. It feels like from the outside world, it's always just pressing in. And so I think there was just a kind of acknowledgement of like, we're going to protect the team. You guys have said something. I'm responding to it. I want you to know that I hear what you're saying. And boy, is that an easy thing to hear too. Like, oh, you guys don't want anybody else around? Okay, that works for me. Like, that coach wants to hear that at the end of the day. Like, the minute that your players say, hey, can we like actually get some of these folks out of here? A coach is not going to hesitate to say yes, because, you know, I think a lot of what Rule does is nation building. He's just trying to build relationships with the various, you know, constituencies of Nebraska football without pissing a lot of people off. But the primary goal is to serve your players, and I think that's what he was trying to do when he said it.
Sam McKewon of the Omaha World-Herald and HuskerExtra.com joining us right now on the Connor Happer Show. Sam, I really loved what you wrote in the Rewind this weekend. You said, with 3 weeks left before Nebraska's most important season in years, the Huskers are in get-better mode, where Rule wants to be. I loved it because, you know, every season is big in its own way, right? Whether it's year 1 for Frost or year 5 for Frost. But the fork in the road big seasons, I think, are all the more fascinating. I wonder if you could expand on why this one maybe stands out to you more than some of the others in recent vintage. And I'm guessing some of it goes with the conversation we've already had so far today.
Yeah, and some of it is related to what's coming in this sport. The revenue sharing model that's coming, how you're going to have to recruit, the value of winning. Like, we're running out of years where you can keep saying, well, they'll get it next year. No, this is the year to get it. You know, as I rattle off those teams, UTEP, Colorado, Northern Iowa, Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana, as I roll those off, those are the teams you got to beat if you want to go where you want to go. And so there's no sugarcoating that. I'm not disrespecting Rutgers. I actually think Rutgers may come in here and win. I think that's an awfully good team that's coached by a good guy, and I think they're gonna give Nebraska a hard time. But some of those other teams that I just mentioned, you know, if you are who you say you are, you're gonna win those games at some point. You're gonna beat those teams. You know, when Rule was at Baylor, that means beating Kansas, and that means beating Iowa State, and that means beating Texas Tech. These are fine programs, you know, led by good guys, but you know, at the end of the day, you have to find a way to elevate. And so I think that's part of what we're looking at. And so there's that. And I think there's also, he wants to keep on the right trajectory. There's a quarterback here who obviously wants to be good and wants to play for winning teams. And, you know, is probably not going to have a ton of patience with 3-9 or 4-8. And you have to also look at your roster and just, hey, there's a bunch of guys coming back this season. They came back for this year, and you want to do it right for them. You know, Ty Robinson and Isaac Gifford and a bunch of other guys. And so, you know, there just feels like a lot of weight going into this season. I think they've felt it. They've dialed back some of the public appearances outside of the media stuff, and this feels a lot like 2019 when Nebraska had a chance to take off. And, you know, they just didn't handle that off season very well. And, you know, I'm sure Scott would love back whole games of the 2019 season. And a lot of that was on him. That wasn't on anybody else. What happened that season. And, you know, you can't blame COVID or any of that stuff. They blew it in 2019. And I think Nebraska is on that cusp again. They have an opportunity to have a very good season this year. Good being defined by 7 or 8 wins. And to fall short of that would be pretty disappointing for everybody involved.
Sam, you mentioned Dylan Raiola, and I wanted to ask you about him, and I wanted to do it through the lens of you being a Bears fan, because they are entering their own unique season in terms of the discourse that is going to surround their quarterback, right? With just the ones that you have watched throughout much of your fandom, and given how different he seems, I was thinking about it this morning, not certainly trying to compare them as quarterbacks, but more the situations. Dylan Raiola is entering a situation where he will be wholly unique compared to anything that we have seen around here in our lifetimes. Like, I wonder how you think the program is going to handle all that. I think they've done a very good job this offseason, like trying to make sure that he is in the background, because once he is not anymore, once he has taken that first snap, like he is the story, right? Of whether it's your game or after UTEP, the post game shows, he is going to be the talking point all year long. How do you think they're going to handle that?
That's a great question. For one thing, I think Dylan is a little bit ahead of the game in handling this stuff. I think he comes from a family that's talked to him about it, and I think that probably helps. So I don't think this is Johnny Manziel, who obviously had no idea what he was doing when he was thrust into that spotlight. I think Dylan has handled the couple interviews that he's had pretty well. And by that, I don't mean that he's a robot. He's got a little bit of a personality. I don't think he's afraid to be himself around people. You see him at practice, not afraid to be himself. He does some things that some of the other quarterbacks don't do. And I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping things where they need to keep them. We haven't peppered them with question after question about Dylan. But, I think it's certainly going to be a story once he starts. And here's the thing. At some point this upcoming season, he's going to have a great game. And then he's going to have a game where he struggles. And the game where he struggles is the one where you're going to watch, okay, how does he handle adversity and how does he bounce back from that? There were a couple circumstances last year where after the games, the Nebraska quarterbacks didn't talk. We're not going to talk. Yep, didn't talk. They just didn't want to talk. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell exactly what it was, but late in the season, when they lost some games, and when somebody's hurt, and I'm like, yeah, I understand that somebody's hurt, but they got ice on their knee, they can come talk, that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of those kind of games late. And you just can't do that when you want to be QB1 of a prominent program. And again, where Dylan wants to go, Dylan's vision is greater than just being here. And so everything he does is a preparation for what he wants to do in the pros. And so you handle yourself a certain way here. And I think his parents have talked to him about that. If you want to be this, then you have to come here and handle this like this. And I think Matt Rule would not have him here if they weren't confident, because they don't have a bunch of 5-stars. If they weren't confident that Dylan could handle things the way that Rule wants him to, I don't think he would be at Nebraska. I think he'd be at Georgia sitting behind Carson Beck. That's what I think. And so obviously to be here at Nebraska, everybody knew he was going to be the starter the first year. They haven't named that officially, but I think that's going to happen. So he knew coming here, he'd have to be ready to handle it all right away. If he had wanted to go to Georgia and do the 1-year thing where you redshirt and then you're like all the other NFL quarterbacks who play in year 2, he could have done that. And he would have sat there and, held his hands to his shoulder pads and watched Carson Beck win the Heisman. But he wanted to come here and do this instead, so he needs to be ready, and I think he will be.
One more for me, Sam. Do you think they've settled on the number 2 quarterback?
I don't think that's been settled yet. I think and it's almost contingent.
Yeah.
On, do you feel like there may be a difference between number 2 and guy who comes in late when Nebraska's way ahead? I think guy who comes in late when Nebraska's way ahead may well be Jalen Granstad. I think you can make that leap. I think you want to protect Danny Kalen's red shirt. I think that'd be the right thing to do. Simultaneously, if you feel like you can use Heinrich Haarberg in your offense in some ways that aren't playing quarterback, having a number 2 named Jalen Granstad can help you with that. Now, nobody's saying that Dylan's going to get banged up, okay? No one wants that to happen. That would be horrible. If it happened, I think Heinrich Haarberg would be the number 2 quarterback. Adrian Martinez got banged up in his first career game when the guy from Colorado twisted his knee. Andrew Bunch came in, right, for against Troy, and they lost the game not entirely because of Andrew, not even specifically because of, but you would have loved to have had a Heinrich Haarberg to lean on who could run. And so Heinrich can run, and I think Heinrich could be your guy that comes in and says, okay, if somebody gets hurt and somebody's out for 5 or 6 games, then all of a sudden it's like, well, Heinrich might be our guy because he can do some things that maybe Gramstad can't. But it's hard to say. If Gramstad comes along really quickly here, maybe you can run a modified version of what they want to run, especially with a quick passing game. He's kind of your Noah Vedral a little bit. I think that's a fair comparison for Gramstad, and Haarberg is Haarberg. Everybody knows what he's going to bring to the table. And so Nebraska would have to make a choice if Dylan wasn't available. But I do think that Gramstad can be your backup if Dylan's healthy and good. And you know what? You're up 38-10 against UTEP in the fourth quarter. trot your 5-star over to the sideline and pull the NAIA All-American and put him out there. That's what I would do, but they'll decide for themselves.
Should be interesting. 19 days away. Sam, always appreciate getting a chance to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great week.
Take care, man.
That is Sam McKewon of the Omaha World-Herald. Lots of stuff there that I imagine we will talk about more and more over the next 3 weeks. 15 work days before Nebraska gets going for the 2024 season. Josh,
it's practically here.
It is. It is football season. I realize we never got to your top 5. I'm a jerk.
Oh, no. I'm willing to go wherever we go.
We will get to your top 5. Also did have a couple of thoughts on the running back situation with some just real amazing stats from our dear friend Stu Manji. Josh's top 5. We'll have those running back notes, and then we will wrap up the show. It is the Connor Happer Show. Josh Peterson in today for Hap here on 1620 The Zone. Josh Peterson, Josh Otson. It is the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, zonetv.live. I'll be on with Jack coming up on the Grum today. So if there's anything that I teased and you're like, I can't wait to hear that, don't worry, friends. We're on until 6.
Getting to it.
Yeah. We'll get to it eventually, which is what is going on right now, because I promised a top 5 from Josh. That is something he cannot do inside of unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's right.
Unless you want to stick around and hang out with Peter.
I love Peter. Peter's a great guy.
Because remember, Nick Grimm famously not of Omaha right now. He is of the interstate, I believe. He's probably of Interstate 80.
But he loves working
He loves
so
it.
much.
He doesn't want to take days off. Yeah. Interesting how he didn't want to take days off the week after we had a perfect crossover every day. But now, weeks later, memory of a goldfish, perhaps.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, let's get to your top 5. What is the top 5 today?
Top 5 moments from the Paris Olympics. Number 5.
God, come on. Take forever.
Number 5.
Do you remember the Paris Olympics?
Gosh, it's been so long.
Not the 1924 Paris Olympics, the 2024
God,
Paris
it was
Olympics.
24, not a few years later.
Right. Number 5. The Americans beat Australia. Big storyline going into the
yeah.
That I'm sorry.
This is in the pool, right?
Right, in the pool.
Swim.
For lack of a better word, that idiot in Australia who said on some morning show in Australia, boy, I really hate those loud, boorish Americans who come out to the arena ringing a cowbell, and then when they win, they play the Star-Spangled Banner, and I hate that song. Well, you know what? Get ready to speak Star-Spangled Banner, baby, because America beat that butt down under.
Suck on that, Australia.
On the last day in the pool, the Americans win 2 golds to surpass the Australians. I believe it was 8-7 in favor of America.
Wow, that's awesome. Tough look for Australia.
Yeah.
I've never been down under before.
Talk that talk. No. Poll question, have you ever been
down under? Now, Josh called for that poll question, not this Josh. Just want that out there for the record. Don't put it in the newspaper that I asked for another poll question.
Okay, after number 5 comes number 4.
Number 4.
Telling you how this works.
Do you always press up? Does Happer press them? Does he help out with this segment?
No, Happer helps me with nothing.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm happy to do so. Like, I'm happy to press these buttons over here.
I want him back more than anything.
Like this. See, like I can press buttons.
Yeah, if you see something you like, just press it.
All right, cool.
Everybody says we need more drops on this show, but I don't face that. I don't face the drops.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
All right.
Number 4. A lot of people said a lot of mean things about Simone Biles in the year of our Lord 2021.
Oh, they did.
And boy, did she make them pay.
Mm-hmm.
How weak is she now? Winning medals on a injured calf. She was still wearing a boot last night.
She's still picking up them golds, bro.
Yeah.
It's a tough look. Imagine again, hating. It's very interesting. All these athletes, Josh, that people don't like. For some reason.
Huh. Team USA basketball, Simone Biles. What do they all have in common?
Interesting. It's not just that they're Olympians.
No.
That's not the only thing they have in common.
There's some men, some women in there. Not
interesting.
Sure what they all have in common.
Interesting.
3. Combination of 3 and 5.
Number 3.
I hate to beat a dead horse,
but
that Saturday basketball game was a really great.
Hell yeah, it was.
That was a great game. You got the French. They hosted the Olympics. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, they did. The French hosted the France Olympics.
Yeah, and then they're the home team trying to win a gold medal.
Oh yeah,
and Team USA, never a doubt. Some were concerned. I was never concerned.
Good. I'm happy that you weren't. Yeah, that was quite the experience. Last time, certainly, that we'll be watching an Olympics team with LeBron James. Last time we'll be watching one with Steph Curry. He admitted as much. We'll see with KD.
KD's,
that
he'll
guy,
be 39.
That guy loves hooping almost as much as he loves tweeting at people.
At 5 a.m.
Yeah, all hours of the night. Shout out KD.
I feel like he might be like, I'll be on the team, but just to kind of yell at guys.
Oh, yeah.
As a veteran leader.
As old.
Yeah, not... Yeah. Maybe I'll play like 10, 12 minutes a game. But...
Wow. Next Olympics, KD and I, famously, we have the same birth month and the same birth year, 1988.
Wow.
We'll almost be 40 together.
You're also very salty online.
Oh, am I?
I don't know.
Poll question?
No.
Is Josh the Kevin Durant of 1620 The Zone?
Would you take that as a compliment?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would view it through the lens of good more than the lens of, annoying as hell on Twitter. I don't think I'm as annoying as I used to be on Twitter. I don't tweet as much anymore.
You don't. You've really backed off. You just let people say things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fill up my mentions with your garbage, and then I'm just going to mute you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't tweet as much. So, if you don't tweet as much, you're not going to see as much garbage. But you know what? My time to shine is football season. It's the best time of year, and it's the time where I have the most takes. I have many more takes on football than I do college basketball, for example.
Imagine having a take on college basketball. Imagine saying it's better than football.
Doesn't your normal host in here say that?
That's right.
Wow.
And I miss him saying crazy, weird things like that.
What an idiot. Come on, Happer. Come here with better take. Hopefully fatherhood has made him have better takes.
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Did fatherhood make my takes better? Oh, wow.
Cool question. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding. Here comes
Number 2.
I'm a swimming guy. I like the swims. Call me Erica Christensen. I am a swim fan.
Oh, okay.
That's a very minute resource that reference that only Peter Krenzer is going to get.
Is that the movie?
The movie, yeah.
Was there like a online dating situation in that movie?
Yeah, she was a little stalkerish.
Stalker-ish.
Yeah.
Stalker adjacent.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ended badly for some people.
But you're in on the swimming.
I'm in on the swimming, which is why
it's always sad that it ends so early.
I know. I was so impressed by the track and the track dominance of America is at number 2 here. They won. I had it in front of me and then I closed it.
Oh no!
Because we didn't do the top 5 in the segment we were going to originally. 14 gold track medals for the United States.
Let's go, baby!
Kenya finished second with 4.
Oh, suck on that, Kenya! We're 10. We have 10 more than you.
34 medals on the track for the Americans. Kenya second with 11.
A guy had COVID and he won bronze in the 200 meters.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Jack Mitchell has COVID and he's working from home. Unreal. Noah Lyles would never.
Well, did Jack write a bunch of checks that his butt couldn't cash?
Oh, well, he did say, I'm going to do 11 hours of radio
I
today.
guess he did.
And you know what he's not doing? 11 hours of radio.
That's because I wouldn't let him.
Mm-hmm.
He was very apologetic.
I'm sorry. Don't be sorry.
Which leads us to the number 1 moment from the Paris Olympics.
I apologize for not doing this segment earlier.
That's
Josh.
okay. Could it be Bob the swim cap catcher?
Make it so, number 1.
I feel bad you closed some of the things.
Number 1.
It's okay. I should have written them down and been more prepared. Could it be Snoop Dogg gallivanting around Paris?
Oh.
Could it be Flavor Flav with the water polo team? No, it's none of those things. As a man with glasses, it was great to see that pommel horse kid win a gold medal.
That's not where I thought you were going to go.
Being unable to physically see.
Wow. We love
Without
our
his
blind. We
glasses.
love our blind friends, don't we, folks?
Stephen I don't know how to say his name
Stephen
anymore.
Glansberg, I believe. Josh.
People don't forget.
No.
Yeah, seeing that guy squint mere seconds before hopping on the pommel horse to win bronze for the men's gymnastics team, a sport where the American men not very good at gymnastics, and all those big, strong Big Ten men,
big, strong men.
Yeah,
were there any tears?
There were some. They won a bronze. It was a big moment.
Nice.
They cried. Penn State guys in there, Michigan guys in there.
Wow.
And Stephen the pommel horse guy, that was my favorite guy at the Olympics. I was like, oh my gosh. Representation really is important. I've never seen myself on camera in this way.
Josh, that is such an excellent point. It really is. It can be so nice to see someone and you're like, I am like that person. I am like that person.
He's just like me.
Uh-huh.
He can't see anything in front of his face.
Wow, what a lovely top 5.
Thank you.
A couple things I liked. We talked about earlier, but Peacock, NBC, I just liked the
Gold Zone.
Yeah, and that they put Jack Collinsworth on when I wasn't watching. He was always on early in the day when I wasn't watching. Thank God, get Jack Collinsworth off my.
I didn't run into Jack. No K.
No, yeah. Put a K in his name, and maybe he'd have better takes.
Mm-hmm. I did see the other Nepo baby.
Noah
Eagle.
He's my friend. I have his phone number.
He's pretty okay.
Friend of me.
Although Cloudy with a Chance of Curry was probably that's a stretch. That was a stretch.
I was sad when the swimming ended. I wish that swimming and track and field took place at the same time. It's a bummer that swimming is like first week stuff, and then track and field is usually second week stuff. Wade points out, no way any Kenya show hosts can handle back-to-back shows. Yeah, they can only do 4 hours.
What are you talking about? They love marathons.
Yeah, they do love marathons. By the way, a text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
Biles is still a turd. See?
Whoa!
What is it about someone representing America and winning gold that people find off-putting?
put off by something.
Mm.
Can't quite put my finger on it.
Pedro says, hi, guys.
Hi, Pedro.
Is Happer the Australian breakdancer of 1620? Yeah, if I'm KD, is Happer the breakdancer who became a meme for the weekend?
Got no votes.
John says, why are we still testing for COVID? If you don't feel well, just stay home like was the norm before 2020. Yeah, I think some people, I mean, I guess that's a question we could ask Jack when he joins us in a little bit. Why did you test for COVID? I wonder if you found out somebody had COVID at an event he was recently at.
And then
At the
he's
super
like, you know
spreader
what?
event.
I don't feel great.
I'm going to check it out.
That is a good question. When I first heard what you read, I went, oh, great. Everybody's getting their COVID takes out there, which is something I don't need after 2020. But yeah, why test?
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Why test indeed. All right. When we come back, we will basically wrap up the show. Josh will tell us what to watch. Spoiler alert, doesn't seem like there's anything to watch.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. And we'll say goodbye, but not really. We'll say hello. You say goodbye, I say hello.
You ready for the crossover?
Kind of what we're doing. Yeah. That's I guess we'll just talk about nothingness for a half hour. So we'll do that when we return. Josh Peterson in today for Connor Happer. Who's on tomorrow?
Great question.
All
Haven't
right.
thought that far ahead.
All right, never mind. I was going to tease tomorrow's show. We can figure it out later. Sam says people still take strep and flu tests. There you go. People still take tests. I don't know if I've ever taken a flu test.
I guess now they got pills for it now. You kind of want to know
Pills
what it
are
is.
good.
Pills are
good. All right, we'll come back, wrap up this show, and say hello to a different show. Josh Peterson in for Connor Happer on the Connor Happer Show with Josh Hodson on 1620 The Zone. About to say goodbye. Josh Peterson and Josh Hodson with you on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Stay tuned. If you were waiting with bated breath for my running back breakdown, don't worry. I'll just talk about it with Jack because him and I are about to do radio until 6 o'clock.
We love radio, folks.
We do love radio. Also, I realized, man, I went to break way early. 1:36 for the final segment.
Hey,
it's gonna be a long last segment, Josh.
That's okay.
Let's stretch our legs out, shall we? Now, a few weeks ago, I said spread our legs instead of stretching our legs.
That does hit the ear wrong.
It does. Yeah, I didn't even realize it until a listener pointed out that it sounded, very interesting. Here's something that Jack just is teasing for our show. If we talk Colorado today, I have my roster analysis I did for them. Jack loves doing this. He loves diving into the rosters of Nebraska's opponents. And so we will get to that among many other things. Mitch Sherman, Mitch Holtis, talk Ohio State and 25 teams. Tomorrow, by the way, Austin will be in for me via Happer.
That's right, Austin Jacobson.
Yep, he'll be in from 10 to 2. And John will also be back tomorrow on the Grum. Before we get to John's back from vacation.
Did he go somewhere? Did he do something? He was in Tennessee over the weekend, yes?
He was in Knoxville, Iowa.
There's a Knoxville, Iowa.
Yeah, poll question. Did you know that there was a Knoxville, Iowa?
Okay.
So he was there, and he'll be back tomorrow. He does this every year. I think he's been doing this for like 2 decades.
He went to a race of some kind, yes?
Yes, the Knoxville races.
Motorsports.
Yeah, the Knoxville races. So he will be back as well. Before we get to our goodbyes and pleasantries, here's an item that has just reached our desks. I love when broadcasters say that. This just reached our desk.
Straight off the wires.
Ian Rappaport tweets out, before Schefter, I was going to go with who got it first. Rappaport, even though I don't follow him, I should probably follow him.
You don't follow Rappaport.
No.
Big NFL guy like you. I just kind of assumed. I'm sorry.
I follow Schefter mainly because eventually I'm going to see all the news, right?
Yeah.
I'll follow him. I don't know how his takes are, so I guess I'll get thrown into the take factory now. Sources, Hassan Reddick has requested a trade from the Jets.
Oh.
Yeah. So Mr. Hassan Reddick, who just joined the Jets.
Just joined him?
This offseason.
Yeah, that's right.
This was supposed to be his first year. He was traded to them on April the 1st. Boy, he wishes that news was an April Fool's joke. Imagine if he said that. What? Come on, guys. This has to be a joke, right? He's requested a trade. When he was traded, the Eagles received back a conditional third-round selection. So that is what is going on there. So, yeah, he wants a trade.
That's hilarious.
Dallas is in need of a player like Hassan Reddick.
Fines hit $1 million as holdout continues for Jets Hassan Reddick. Wow.
Yeah, and here's something that I learned because CeeDee Lamb is holding out right now. If you're on your rookie deal, if you have a good relationship with the franchise, they can like wipe the fines at the end of it, like once you sign. So like if CD signs, which I expect him to at some point in time, they will rid themselves of all of the fines. They will say, see you later. And so all the millions of dollars that he would have lost, he'll get back. You can't do that though with the old heads. So Hassan Reddick, he's not going to get all those millions back. So there you go. That's what's going on there. All right. Poll questions.
Now, I got them.
This is a segment that I never listen to on podcasts because it's always on in the ether as I'm getting ready to come in on the show. So I think I know the way that this goes. You read the question, then I vote in the question, then we discuss the question.
That's correct.
All right. Well, it's first poll question all the way back during the crossover.
All the way back. Those many, many poll questions.
There are a lot today.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
We like it that way. Do you have stars?
I did, but I don't anymore.
I did. That was one of the
Did you have it from Cox Cable?
No, I had it from my brother had it for some reason. And
he's
like,
cool.
Here, let's get some use out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had it when we signed up for Cox Cable last football season. There was a deal where you could get all of the movie channels, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, and Stars for $20 a month. And we were like, of course we'll sign up for that.
Sure.
$20 a month. HBO's $15 by itself. Mm-hmm. So I do not have Stars anymore. 85%
of the audience agrees with you.
Oh, good take, audience.
Most voted on poll question of the day. No, I do not have Stars. Has a fish fillet sandwich at a gas station ever looked good after midnight? I didn't know gas stations were serving fillet of fish sandwiches.
Oh, and that is the answer in and of itself.
Right. 88% of the audience says no. No, of course not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, we're not going to ask for another poll question because we're going through poll questions, but is that a weirder take from Gary than the whole air conditioning set in the 80s thing?
Oh, yeah. That is interesting.
How ripped was Gary this weekend that he saw a fish sandwich at a gas station and he was like, that sounds tasty.
That looks like something I want to put in my body.
Oh,
right
I want
now.
that in my mouth right now. Speaking of things in our mouths, pickled eggs? ?
Yes. I mean, no is how I would vote.
That's what I voted.
Yes, I'm confirming that is the next poll question.
That was the poll question. Not great. 78% said no. So that actually has the highest share of yes so far today. It's a lot of no votes today on the
very negative audience.
Interesting.
We press on at Happer Show. Are you trying to get goo on you?
Oh, that was for the fire alarm.
That's right.
That was for the fire alarm. Again, I'm going to be a negative Nelly.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote no.
I'm not trying to get goo on me.
No, I don't want the goo.
87% of the audience said no.
All right. Wow.
Almost the most voted on poll question of the day. Have you ever said the words, quote, I'm excited to watch the Chicago Bears, end quote?
Now, I did vote yes in this because I said it, and then that set up the poll question. But if I were to have... If you were to ask me this question yesterday, I would have said no. I've never said I'm excited to watch this. Like you see a Sunday night game and you're like, F yes, Sunday night football. And then it's like the Bears and the Vikings. You're like, get it off my TV. But now I'd be excited.
80% of the audience said no.
What?
Never said those words.
They have Caleb Williams now.
Yeah.
Roma Dunze.
People forget.
Come on. What are we doing here? Bummer.
Some of the newer poll questions now within the last hour of the show.
Yeah, we had a few towards the end.
Does producer Josh have a rat?
Interesting.
I will tell you the actual answer is no.
Okay, that's what I voted.
I do not. So good guess by you.
Yes.
63% of the audience wrong on this one. They said, yes, I do have a rat.
So wait, this finally got the yes votes to show up.
Yes.
Vote yes in does producer Josh have a rat in that prop?
No.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Very. Does Josh Peterson call out a lot of poll questions?
Now I'm going to vote no. Holy God. What are we doing here?
Very positive audience, the positive boys.
Wow. Seriously.
Nearly 90% of the audience has said, yes, you're calling out a lot of poll questions.
What do you think? You are the producer.
I believe the audience over these last 3 weeks has been a little conditioned to maybe have a fewer poll questions than a normal show.
What does this audience know?
I mean,
tell them to tune into Unsportsmanlike Conduct if they want to see a radio show. Just kidding. Just kidding. This is my favorite radio show. Wow, interesting.
Have you ever been down under?
Oh.
No. 88% of the audience says no.
Hey, shout out to the 12% though who have. That's pretty cool.
World travelers.
Yeah, seriously, I'd love to go there. I want to go there in New Zealand. I want to go to New Zealand a little bit more.
Well, you could see Lord of the Rings.
Oh, wow. You going to make fun of some of us for liking Lord of the Rings, Josh?
I'm going to make fun of Nick for the way he likes Lord of the Rings.
Interesting. Not going to disagree with you there. I hope he's driving right now. Nick seems like a guy. Poll question. Does Nick seem like a guy who would drive instead of his girlfriend? The answer to that is yes. I bet they're listening to the show right now and he's getting slightly triggered, but he's also laughing.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Why do they always say that my voice sounds like this? I bet he just said that out loud.
Is Josh Peterson the Kevin Durant of 1620 The Zone?
I voted yes.
Boy, the last 30 seconds of radio sure make me want to vote yes. 60% of the audience said no.
Come on. What are we doing here?
And finally, did you know there was a Knoxville, Iowa? I did not.
That's wild. In our audience, a slight majority, 57%. You know, that wouldn't pass in the Senate. You need 60 votes. But I'm guessing a lot of those people know because John mentions it every year at this time. Every year. All right.
I didn't know.
Those are the poll questions. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We are going to watch.
What are we watching tonight?
There's no Olympics anymore.
It's done.
So you're all Major League Baseball fans again. ESPN with a rare Monday night baseball game. The Boston Red Sox, Josh, they host the Texas Rangers.
They were my favorite team from 2003 until 2009.
A brief time.
Yeah, a short time.
6 o'clock start time. They're at Fenway, ESPN Plus 840. Pirates against the Padres in San Diego. MLB TV free game of the day. At that same time, 8:40, the Los Angeles Angels host the Toronto Blue Jays. And on MLB Network at 8:45, the Atlanta Braves out west to take on the San Francisco Giants. The Giants just a game and a half behind Atlanta for the final wild card spot. It's going not well for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I heard they lost to the Rockies.
They lost 2 of 3 to the Rockies.
Was Nick at either one of these games?
He was at the Rockies' loss this weekend.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it really is. And here's the best non-sports thing on television tonight. I'm not doing a bit.
Okay.
Celebrity IOU at 8 o'clock on HGTV. It is the season 8 premiere. Mandy Moore calls on the Property Brothers to create an outdoor oasis for a woman from her past. And there are a few movies on tonight. Raiders of the Lost Ark, 7 o'clock, Paramount. Wayne's World.
Party time, excellent.
7 o'clock on Pop. Pop. That's right. I had to find out what was on Pop tonight.
Interesting. Some people call it Coke.
I heard they recently added more Pop. That's what's on TV tonight. It's not much. Maybe get reacquainted with your friends and family.
I was going to say there's always Netflix.
Yeah, what are you watching on Netflix?
Yeah, my wife and I we started watching Breaking Bad like a month ago.
That's right.
But then we had to pause it because of the Olympics. We are going to resume watching, I believe, tonight, and we are at one of my favorite stretches in season 3. So that should be a whole lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. Otherwise, I don't know, read a book.
You could read a book.
Go walk your dog.
People forget about books.
I love books, Josh. I'm reading a short story by Stephen King right now. It's very good.
I'm reading a book by Stephen King as well right now.
What book are you reading?
I'm reading Mr. Mercedes.
Oh, I read Mr. Mercedes before.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Is there a good ending?
Well, it's a trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
My beef with Stephen King is that
His
the first
endings
2/3 of a book are really good, and then
the ending.
The final third of the book is awful.
I didn't know you were a reader.
Oh yeah.
Man, it's nice to have somebody in this office that knows how to put sentence together to make a paragraph.
That's right. Letters, they form words.
Yeah. Who knew?
Top, left to right, top to bottom. It's called reading.
All right, that's what we're watching tonight. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, that was the Connor Happer Show. I had a lovely time. You know, they say don't meet your heroes, but Josh Otson produces my favorite radio show, so that kind of makes him my hero.
Okay.
He produces the Connor Happer Show. Josh, has been a wonderful experience hosting the show with you.
Thank you. I've loved having you here.
If you've loved hearing my voice and you're like, you know what? I wish that I could hear your voice even more, maybe 4 more hours. Also, to hear you try to eat a club sandwich and fries during a random commercial break. Boy, do I have the show for you. Unsportsmanlike Conduct next with Jack Mitchell and yours truly. Will we talk about the fact that President T is back on Twitter? Will we discuss that?
Whoa, T is on Twitter?
A story about Ben Sass from the Florida newspaper down there? No, we won't talk about those things. We'll just talk about sports, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that and more when we
Jack's a news guy, though.
Jack is a news guy. All right, I'll ask him. What are your takes on Trump being back on Twitter? You know what? That actually gave me a good question for unsportsmanlike content later on. Thank you there, Josh.
That I produce anything and everything.
All right, that's Connor Happer Show. Austin is in tomorrow. Austin Jacobson is in tomorrow for Happer, the program with Jack Mitchell. Well, no, first a crossover with Jack and I. It's coming up next. Well, let's do more radio here on 1620 The Zone.